I stood on the edge of the Grand Assembly Chamber, my pulse quickening as I surveyed the sea of alien faces before me. The Galactic Summit was a sprawling, opulent affair, filled with shimmering lights and intricate architectural marvels that spiraled upward like crystal flowers. Each race was represented by their most esteemed diplomats and war strategists, all gathered to discuss the future of intergalactic relations and, more importantly, the ever-looming shadow of warfare. As a commander from Earth, I was here to argue our case. Yet I felt the weight of countless generations pressing down on my shoulders. Humans had earned a reputation across the galaxy, one that stirred both awe and fear. We had fought our way through adversity on our home planet, and now we were poised to enter the cosmic stage. But as I listened to the murmurs and whispers of the assembly, it became painfully clear that our reputation was a double-edged sword. "Commander Blake," a smooth voice interrupted my thoughts. I turned to face Ambassador Kill, a Zarathian with glistening silver skin and elongated features that reflected the chamber's lights like a mirror. His demeanor exuded both authority and disdain. "You understand, of course, that your kind is considered unpredictable." I clenched my jaw, fighting back the impulse to respond with bitterness. The Zarathians were notorious for their rigid hierarchies and their belief in their superiority. Their society was built on centuries of dominance, and now they found themselves staring down the possibility of a new challenger us. "Ambassador Kill, humans have faced insurmountable odds throughout our history," I replied, keeping my tone measured. "We've adapted, innovated, and overcome challenges that would have shattered lesser races. Isn't that a testament to our resilience?" Kill raised an eyebrow, clearly unimpressed. "Resilience is one thing, Commander, but creativity in warfare is another. Many races here fear that your innovations could lead to chaos." A ripple of tension coursed through the assembly, and I could feel the eyes of the delegates boring into me. The Zephyrites, with their shimmering, iridescent skin, exchanged nervous glances, while the Terracans folded their massive arms, clearly unimpressed by the discussion at hand. The Aquilarians, who thrived in the depths of their oceanic worlds, appeared calm yet vigilant, their interest piqued by the exchange. "Humanity has learned the hard way the cost of war," I said, my voice rising above the murmurs. "We've made mistakes, but we've also developed strategies that prioritize survival over senseless slaughter. Is that not worth considering?" Ambassador Kill leaned closer, his expression cold. "And yet, we have observed your kind's capacity for destruction. The rogue faction that attacked your home during the last interstellar trade route expansion was an outlier," I interrupted, frustration spilling over. "It was an act of desperation, not a reflection of who we are. We are more than the sum of our mistakes." The room fell silent, and I could feel the collective gaze of the assembly upon me. Suddenly, the chamber's massive doors swung open, drawing attention away from our conversation. A group of armored figures burst through the entrance, their presence radiating tension. "Unidentified hostiles are breaching the perimeter," a voice bellowed through the chamber's intercom. Panic erupted as delegates scrambled for cover, their previous discussions of human unpredictability forgotten in the face of this new threat. "Commander Blake, we must evacuate," Kill shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. "Your people are known for their combat prowess. This is your chance to prove it." I glanced around, adrenaline surging through me as I took stock of the situation. This was the moment I had dreaded, but also the moment I had prepared for. As my mind raced, I remembered the survival training I had undergone back on Earth, where our instructors emphasized the importance of quick thinking and adaptability in combat. "Let's move," I shouted, rallying my fellow humans. "We need to secure the perimeter and assess the threat." As we formed a defensive line, I could see Kill's expression shift from disdain to grudging respect. It was a small victory, but one I intended to build upon. "Humans will not go quietly," I declared, my voice steady despite the chaos. "We will defend this summit and prove our worth to the galaxy." The armored figures advanced, their weapons drawn and ready for confrontation. They were unlike any foe I had faced before, dressed in sleek, dark armor that absorbed light and reflected nothing. Their helmets obscured their faces, adding to their ominous presence. We had to act swiftly. "Prepare to engage," I shouted to my team, my heart pounding in rhythm with the urgent thrum of the alarm bells echoing throughout the chamber. As the armored figures closed in, I recalled the lessons of Earth's ancient battles, where strategy and tactics often determined the outcome. I signaled to my team to create diversions, using everything at our disposal: light, sound, and technology to throw off our attackers. "Use your comms, signal the others," I urged, as I ducked behind a column for cover, heart racing, ready to engage. The stakes were higher than ever, not just for Earth, but for our place among the stars. In that moment of chaos, something within me ignited a fierce determination to protect not just our people, but the very idea of humanity in this vast, unforgiving galaxy. As I prepared for the fight ahead, I couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would define not only my destiny, but the future of humanity itself. Whatever happened next, we were about to show the galaxy what we were truly capable of. The first shot rang out like thunder, a brilliant flash illuminating the dim chamber. I dove behind the nearest column, feeling the heat of the energy blast graze my shoulder. The urgency of the moment sharpened my focus. "Return fire," I barked, rallying my team. "Aim for their joints. Their armor looks reinforced, but we can exploit weaknesses." My team responded with a unified shout, their determination palpable. I peered around the column, my heart racing as I saw the armored assailants advancing with calculated precision. They moved as a unit, their formations reminiscent of Earth's ancient militaries. They were trained, disciplined, and utterly relentless. I gestured to a nearby human soldier, Private Marcus Lai, whose face was set with resolve. "Marcus, take the left flank and draw their fire. I'll create a distraction." He nodded, sprinting away with a fierce determination. I knew he would do whatever it took to protect our own. I took a deep breath and focused on the holographic controls embedded in my wrist. Activating my wrist comms, I sent out a message to the summit's security personnel. "This is Commander Blake. We're under attack. Reinforcements needed immediately. Secure the exits." The response was almost instantaneous. "Reinforcements en route, Commander." The voice crackled through the comms, filled with urgency. Just as I was about to regroup with my team, a burst of plasma fire erupted from the assailants, illuminating the chamber with blue and green hues. My heart raced as I ducked just in time, the blast ricocheting off the ornate walls, shattering crystal decor and sending shards flying. "Get ready," I shouted to my squad. "Now." We launched ourselves into the fray, my heart pounding as I engaged the first armored foe. I ducked low, dodging his strike, and countered with a swift kick to his knee joint, causing him to stumble. Without hesitation, I followed up with a punch to his visor. The impact reverberated through my arm as the helmet cracked, the attacker staggering back. In that moment of adrenaline-fueled clarity, I was acutely aware of the stakes. This wasn't just a battle for our lives. It was a demonstration of our tenacity. If we failed here, the reputation of humanity could be irrevocably damaged. I glanced around to assess the situation. Marcus was engaging two assailants, his training in close quarters combat evident as he expertly dodged their strikes, responding with calculated precision. It was inspiring to see our tactics paying off, but the numbers were still against us. Then I noticed something unexpected. A large screen on the far wall, currently displaying the summit's proceedings. It showed the various races gathered in a tense standoff, their expressions a mixture of horror and intrigue as they witnessed the unfolding chaos. "Ambassador Kill," I shouted, hoping he was still alive amidst the turmoil. "Get them to rally. Show them that humans can defend themselves." In the chaos, I caught sight of Kill's silhouette, his silver skin shining even under the dim lighting. He was addressing the Zorathian delegates, their rigid postures showing a blend of shock and reluctant admiration. "Your people must realize," he called out, his voice cutting through the chaos, "that humanity's adaptability in warfare is a double-edged sword. We must not underestimate them." The Zorathian crowd was hesitant, their fear palpable. I could see it in their eyes. They had long believed in their superiority and viewed humanity as a threat. But with every shot fired, the narrative was shifting. As the attackers regrouped, they focused their fire on Marcus, who was maneuvering deftly between cover. I felt a surge of protectiveness rise within me. "Cover fire," I shouted, moving into a more advantageous position. I activated my wrist comm again, ordering the automated defense drones hidden throughout the chamber. The small drones whirred to life, launching from their concealed positions to join the fray. They engaged the armored figures with a flurry of blaster fire, creating a diversion that allowed Marcus to break free and regroup with me. "Commander," he shouted, panting heavily. "What's the plan?" "Stick together and push toward the entrance. We need to hold them off until reinforcements arrive," I replied, adrenaline surging through me. "We have to show the galaxy that we can stand our ground." The automated drones flanked our position, weaving in and out of cover, firing with remarkable precision. The assailants, now distracted, turned their attention to the new threat. This was our chance. "Go, go, go," I urged, sprinting toward the entrance with Marcus at my side. As we advanced, I glanced back at Kill and the other delegates. They were now on their feet, their expressions shifting from fear to determination. Perhaps witnessing our fight would sway them to support humanity's place in the galaxy. We reached the doorway, and I could see a flicker of hope igniting among the delegates. "They're regrouping," I shouted to my team. "Prepare to hold the line." As we set ourselves in position, I heard the sound of heavy footsteps approaching from the far side of the chamber. The assailants were organizing for a final push. I could feel the tension building in the air. This would be a decisive moment. "Remember," I whispered to Marcus, "this is about more than just survival. It's about proving our worth." He nodded, determination gleaming in his eyes. "We've got this, Commander." The armored figures surged forward, a wall of dark metal and lethal intent. But we were ready. As the first wave crashed against our makeshift defense, I felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was it. This was the moment we would show the galaxy what humans were capable of when pushed to the brink. The first wave crashed against us with brutal force, their armor glinting ominously as they bore down. I ducked low, narrowly avoiding a swing from one of the attackers, and retaliated with a low kick that sent him sprawling. The impact reverberated through my leg, a reminder of the stakes at hand. "Keep them off balance," I shouted, signaling to my team to spread out. The defensive drones zipped around us, targeting the gaps in the assailants' armor with unyielding precision. Each blast illuminated the chamber, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Marcus stood by my side, firing his weapon with calculated shots. "We can't hold them for long. They're too organized," he yelled, the tension in his voice clear. "I know," I replied, my heart racing as I surveyed the chaotic battlefield. The room was a cacophony of blaster fire, shouts, and the unsettling thud of armored bodies hitting the ground. I could see Kill in the distance, gesturing emphatically to the delegates, trying to convey the urgency of our plight. "Focus on the leaders," I yelled to Marcus. "If we can take down their commanders, we might disrupt their formation." Nodding resolutely, he targeted one of the armored figures that appeared to be directing the others. On it, his shots rang true, hitting the commander square in the shoulder. The figure staggered, a crackle of energy lighting up its armor. As the leader faltered, I seized the moment. "Now, push forward," I shouted, charging into the fray. The rush of adrenaline fueled my movements, and I was acutely aware of the potential consequences. This was not just about saving our lives, it was about shifting the narrative of humanity's role in the galaxy. I closed the distance with the commander, throwing a hard right hook that caught him off guard. The blow connected with a satisfying crunch, and I followed it up with a knee to the stomach, sending him crashing to the ground. "Take him down," I called out, and my team surged forward, eager to capitalize on the momentum. But the other assailants quickly reacted, forming a protective barrier around their fallen leader. "We've got to break through," I yelled, dodging another incoming plasma bolt that singed the air next to me. Just then, I noticed a small alcove off to the side, a potential vantage point. "Marcus, cover me," I shouted, sprinting toward the opening. I could feel the weight of their gaze, the hostility radiating from the attackers. As I reached the alcove, I quickly set up my rifle for a more stable shot. "I've got eyes on their flank," I called to my team. "If we can hit them from both sides, we might break their resolve." Through the scope, I could see the attackers regrouping, their disciplined formation a testament to their training. I took a deep breath, my finger poised over the trigger, waiting for the right moment. "Now," I shouted, squeezing the trigger. My shot rang out, catching one of the assailants in the neck. He dropped instantly, creating a ripple of panic among his comrades. I followed up with another shot, hitting a second attacker who was attempting to flank Marcus. "Great shot," Marcus yelled, taking advantage of the chaos to press forward. I could see determination etched on his face, a reflection of the resolve shared by my team. This was our moment to prove ourselves. But just as we began to gain ground, the situation took a turn. The armored commander, seemingly recovered, rose from the ground, his helmet now cracked but his eyes filled with fury. With a swift gesture, he rallied his forces, a fierce roar erupting from his throat. "They're regrouping," I shouted, my heart sinking. "We need to hold them off." The tide of battle shifted again as the assailants pressed forward with renewed vigor. I could see the determination in their movements, the stark realization that they were up against humanity, a race that had always found a way to endure. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered, plunging us into momentary darkness. I could hear the panic in my team's voices, the uncertainty creeping in. "What's happening?" Marcus shouted, his voice laced with tension. Before I could respond, the lights burst back on, but now they were flashing red, accompanied by an urgent alarm. "Containment breach," echoed a voice over the intercom. "All personnel, evacuate immediately." "Evacuate?" I muttered, my mind racing. "This isn't just a battle, they're trying to force us out." "Commander," Marcus shouted, panic seeping into his voice. "We can't hold them if we retreat." "No," I said firmly, my resolve hardening. "We're not running. This is our fight, and we will show them what humanity can do." I glanced at the console in the alcove, considering our options. "Listen up," I bellowed to my team, gathering their attention. "We're going to make a stand right here. Marcus, flank right. Get ready to take down anyone who tries to breach our position. I'll hold the center." The team nodded, the determination igniting in their eyes once more. The urgency of our situation was clear. This was more than just a defense, it was a fight for our future in the galaxy. As the assailants surged forward, I felt an unexpected surge of power. We were no longer just humans. We were warriors, standing shoulder to shoulder, ready to fight for our place among the stars. And as the first enemy charged forward, I was ready. The clash of bodies echoed around us as I braced for impact. The first enemy charged, his armor glistening menacingly under the flashing lights. I sidestepped, letting his momentum carry him past me, and delivered a sharp elbow to his back. He stumbled forward, colliding with another assailant, a momentary break in their ranks that I aimed to exploit. "Push! Keep them off balance!" I roared, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The chaos of battle enveloped us, but I could see my team responding to the surge of energy. Marcus and the others were finding their rhythm, coordinating strikes, and using the environment to our advantage. I felt a sense of unity building within our group, a recognition of what we were fighting for. Each of us had a role, a personal stake in this fight, whether it was redemption, honor, or sheer survival. As I ducked and weaved through the fray, I could see Kill still in the back, shouting at the delegates. They were our lifeline, the ones who could convey the story of humanity if we made it through. My mind raced as I fought. Each move was instinctive, each decision shaped by years of training. I had been prepared for a fight, but this was unlike anything I had ever experienced. The sheer intensity, the unpredictability, the weight of our mission, it was all too real. The commander was back in the mix, rallying his forces with ferocity. I spotted him in the distance, pushing through the chaos to reach our position. "Marcus," I called, trying to catch his attention over the din. We need to take him down before he regroups. Working on it, Marcus shouted back, his shots ringing out with deadly accuracy. But the commander was proving to be a slippery target, his innate leadership pushing the attackers into a tighter formation. With a newfound sense of purpose, I surged forward, dodging incoming fire as I made my way toward the commander. My heart pounded as I closed the distance, and in that moment, time seemed to slow. Every detail sharpened the glint of metal, the crackle of energy, the sound of my own breath. As I reached the commander, I unleashed a flurry of strikes, aiming for weak points in his armor. But he was prepared, countering my attacks with a fierce precision that spoke to his experience. Our movements became a dance, each strike met with a deflection, each attempt to gain the upper hand thwarted by his resilience. "Is this all you've got, human?" he sneered, the voice distorted through his helmet. "You fight like a cornered animal. Then you'll learn why that's a dangerous position to be in," I shot back, gathering all my strength for a powerful kick aimed at his knee. The impact reverberated through me, and I felt the commander stumble. Before I could capitalize on the moment, a shockwave surged through the chamber, sending everyone reeling. Alarms blared, and the very walls trembled. "What was that?" Marcus shouted, looking around in confusion. "Something's happening," I replied, scrambling to regain my footing. The assailants faltered, glancing around as if searching for an unseen threat. I took the opportunity to throw another punch, this time landing a clean hit on the commander's jaw. He staggered back, clearly rattled. "Fall back!" A voice rang out among the enemy ranks, and suddenly their resolve began to falter. "Regroup!" I seized the moment. "Now, let's push them back!" I rallied my team, gesturing for them to follow my lead. We charged forward, taking advantage of their momentary confusion, firing and striking with renewed vigor. The tide was shifting, and I could feel the thrill of victory surging within me. This was not just a battle, it was a statement. Humanity would not be subdued, and we would carve our place in the galaxy. As we pressed forward, I glanced at Kill, who had joined us in the fray, her eyes blazing with determination. "We can't let them escape," I urged, my voice firm. "They'll regroup and come back stronger." With that, we charged toward the retreating enemies, our focus laser sharp. But just as we were gaining ground, the alarm blared once more, the lights flickering ominously. "What now?" I muttered, my instincts screaming that something was off. Suddenly, the walls around us began to shift. Panels slid open, revealing a series of turrets hidden within the architecture. They whirred to life, their targeting systems locking onto us. "Get down!" I shouted, diving for cover just as a barrage of energy blasts lit up the room. The air crackled as we scrambled to evade the onslaught. I could hear Marcus shouting orders, trying to regroup our forces as the turrets unleashed a relentless hail of fire. "We need to disable them," he yelled. "Cover me," I replied, darting from cover to cover, my heart racing as I made my way toward the nearest turret. The ground trembled beneath us, the weight of the situation pressing heavily on my shoulders. I had to find a way to turn the tide in our favor. With a burst of determination, I launched myself toward the turret, ducking beneath its line of fire. I could feel the heat of the energy blast singeing the air around me as I reached the control panel. My fingers raced over the buttons, desperately trying to override the system. The turret whirred, its targeting system recalibrating as I worked. Come on," I muttered under my breath, my heart pounding in time with the blaster fire echoing in the chamber. Just as I thought I had a handle on it, a hand grabbed my shoulder, yanking me back. I spun around to see the armored commander, his helmet cracked but his gaze fierce. "You think you can stop me?" he growled. In that instant, a surge of adrenaline coursed through me. "Yes," I replied, lunging at him with renewed ferocity. The battle raged on around us, a chaotic tapestry of energy and fury. The commander's grip tightened around my shoulder, and I could feel the weight of his strength as he swung me away from the control panel. I stumbled but quickly regained my footing, adrenaline surging through my veins as I faced him. "Your fight is with me, human," he hissed, pulling out a blade that gleamed ominously in the flickering light. You think you can outmaneuver me in my own arena? I don't need to outmaneuver you, I shot back, feeling the heat of the moment sharpen my focus. I just need to distract you long enough to take down your toys. With that, I launched myself at him, aiming for the space just beneath his helmet. If I could land a solid strike there, it might disrupt his balance and give me the upper hand. Our bodies collided, and I could feel the weight of his armor pressing against me. I brought my knee up sharply into his stomach, feeling him lose breath for a moment. He staggered backward, and I pressed the advantage, throwing a quick series of punches aimed at his helmet. The sound of metal on metal echoed in my ears, each hit sending a rush of satisfaction through me. "Marcus, can you get the others to focus fire on those turrets?" I shouted over my shoulder, knowing he would be holding his ground and leading the rest of our team. "I'm on it," he replied, his voice cutting through the chaos. The sound of blaster fire intensified, and I knew they were following my lead, their confidence bolstered by the progress we'd made. The commander recovered quickly, launching a counterattack of his own. He swung the blade toward me with brutal precision, but I sidestepped just in time, the blade grazing my side and sending a jolt of pain through me. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to focus. There was no time for weakness now. I countered with a low kick that swept his legs out from under him. He hit the ground hard, the force of his fall echoing through the chamber. It was a small victory, but I knew it wouldn't last long. As he rolled back to his feet, I could see the rage etched across his features, and it fueled my determination. "Push the attack," I yelled to my team, my voice steady and commanding. "We need to disable those turrets, or we won't last much longer." In that moment, the ground shook again, and I barely kept my balance as more energy blasts rained down from the turrets. I could see some of our team members taking cover behind debris, firing back at the automated defenses. My eyes darted back to the commander, who was now rising to his feet, visibly angered but also calculating. He glanced at the turrets and then back at me, realization dawning in his eyes. "You think you can win this war?" he snarled, launching himself at me once again. "You're nothing but insects, and I will crush you." I ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding his swipe. "You underestimate humanity," I shot back, landing on my feet and pivoting to face him again. "That's your first mistake." As we danced through the chaos, I caught glimpses of Marcus and the others. They were coordinating strikes against the turrets, moving in a synchronized rhythm that spoke of trust and teamwork. Each shot was calculated, and I felt a surge of pride swell in my chest. "Hit the control panel," I shouted, hoping they could hear me through the chaos. "If we can shut them down, we stand a chance." Marcus nodded, his expression fierce as he led the charge toward the nearest turret. The others followed suit, their movements fluid as they ducked behind cover and fired with precision. The energy beams from the turrets lit up the space like fireworks, illuminating the determination in our eyes. Just as I was about to leap back into the fray, a blast of energy shot past me, hitting the ground with an explosive force. I ducked instinctively, but it was too late. The shockwave knocked me off my feet, sending me sprawling to the ground. My vision blurred for a moment, but I shook my head, clearing the haze. I scrambled back to my feet, only to find the commander looming over me, blade poised for a final strike. "This ends now," he growled, but before he could bring it down, a blaster shot rang out, striking his weapon and sending it clattering to the floor. "Nice shot," I shouted, glancing back to see Kill standing nearby, her stance firm as she prepared for the next move. The commander stumbled, glaring daggers at her. "You think you can save him?" he spat, rage in his voice. "I don't need to save anyone," Kill shot back, her expression unwavering. "I just need to make sure you don't kill any more of us." She reloaded her weapon, and I took the opportunity to regain my footing, moving to flank the commander while he was distracted. Together, we moved as a unit, attacking from different angles to keep him off balance. "Now, while he's distracted," I yelled, urging my team to push forward. The commander was powerful, but we were faster, and we were united. As we pressed forward, I could hear the sounds of blaster fire intensifying. The remaining turrets were falling, one by one, their whirring becoming erratic as our shots found their mark. I could feel a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable tension as our team grew bolder, emboldened by the fading strength of our enemies. With one final push, we corner the commander, his armor battered and his resolve wavering. "You're fighting a losing battle," he snarled, glancing around as if searching for an escape route. "Not today," I replied, stepping forward to face him head-on. "You will answer for what you've done." Before he could react, I lunged, grabbing his helmet and pulling him down to my level. "We're not the insects you think we are," I growled, my voice low and fierce. "We are humanity, and we will fight until our last breath." He sneered, his defiance still lingering, but I could see the uncertainty creeping into his eyes. This was the moment where we could either break him or lose everything we had fought for. Just then, the alarm klaxon shifted again, a blaring signal that something was amiss. The ground shook violently, and I could see the walls trembling, dust falling from the ceiling. "What now?" I shouted, glancing around for answers. "We need to get out of here," Marcus yelled, his voice rising above the cacophony. "This place is coming down." I hesitated, weighing my options. Could we finish the commander here, or would we risk losing everything in the ensuing chaos? The very air felt charged with anticipation, and I knew time was running out. "Take him with us," Kill shouted, breaking through my thoughts. "We can't leave him behind to regroup." With a nod of agreement, I grabbed the commander, hoisting him up and dragging him with me as we fell back toward the exit. The others followed suit, retreating from the chaos as we made our way through the crumbling corridors. The blaring alarms echoed in my ears, each blast marking the urgency of our escape. The weight of the commander felt heavy in my grip, but I couldn't afford to falter. We needed to regroup, to strategize our next move. As we finally reached the exit, the ground shook once more, and a section of the ceiling collapsed behind us. "Go, now!" I shouted, pushing the others through the door before following closely behind. We burst into the cool night air, the stars shining brightly overhead. I took a moment to catch my breath, the adrenaline still coursing through my veins as I scanned our surroundings. "Did everyone make it?" I asked, counting heads. The battle had taken its toll, but we were alive. "We're all here," Marcus confirmed, panting heavily as he leaned against a nearby structure. "But we need to move fast. They'll regroup, and we can't let them catch us off guard." I glanced at the commander, who was still struggling in my grip. "What do we do with him?" I asked, my voice low. "Interrogate him," Kill suggested, her eyes narrowing. "We need to know what we're up against and how to prevent another attack." The commander's eyes widened in alarm as he realized the gravity of our situation. "You think you can intimidate me?" he sneered, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his tone. "No," I said, leaning closer, my voice steady. "But I can promise you this. If you don't tell us what we need to know, you'll wish you had." The commander struggled against my grip, his eyes flickering between defiance and something closer to fear. "You think you can break me?" he spat, but the tremor in his voice betrayed his bravado. "I will never reveal anything to you." I tightened my grip on his collar, leaning in so our faces were mere inches apart. "You don't have a choice," I said, my voice low and firm. "We're not the mindless creatures you think we are. We will find a way to get the information we need one way or another." Behind me, Marcus and Kill exchanged glances, both preparing for what might come next. I could feel the tension in the air, thick and electric, as the weight of the commander's knowledge hung over us like a storm cloud. "Let's move to a safer location," Marcus suggested, scanning the area for any signs of incoming reinforcements. "We can't risk being caught out in the open." "Agreed," I replied, dragging the commander along with me as we began to retreat deeper into the shadows. We needed to find somewhere secure to interrogate him, somewhere he couldn't escape, and where we could control the situation. As we moved through the labyrinthine structures of the alien encampment, I couldn't shake the feeling of urgency that clung to me like a second skin. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the night, a constant reminder of the chaos we had left behind. We finally stumbled upon a small, abandoned building that seemed to be an old control center. It was dark and musty inside, but it would serve our purposes. I pushed the commander through the door, forcing him to stumble forward as we all followed in. "Secure him," I ordered, watching as Marcus and Kill quickly moved to restrain the commander with some makeshift bindings they found lying around. They didn't need to be told twice. The urgency of the situation was evident in their eyes. Once the commander was restrained, I stepped forward, my heart pounding in my chest. "You're going to tell us everything," I said, adopting a tone that brooked no argument. "Your forces, your strategies, anything we need to know to stop this war from escalating." He met my gaze defiantly, his jaw set. "You think you can intimidate me? Your threats mean nothing." I felt a surge of frustration. "This isn't a game. Lives are at stake here, yours included. If you don't cooperate, I can't guarantee your safety." The commander sneered at me, but I could see a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "You don't know who you're dealing with. I won't be the first of my kind to fall to a human." "Maybe not," I replied, stepping closer, forcing him to meet my gaze. "But you will be the first to give up vital information if you want to see another day." He hesitated, his composure cracking slightly under the weight of my stare. "What do you want to know?" he asked finally, his voice laced with reluctant acknowledgement. "Start with your forces," I pressed, my heart racing as I seized the opportunity. "How many ships are in orbit? What are your plans for the planet?" He looked away, clearly wrestling with his options, but I wasn't going to let him retreat into silence. "If you think I won't find a way to make you talk, you're gravely mistaken," I warned, my voice dropping to a whisper. "We will find ways to break you." Kill stepped forward, her expression fierce. "We're not asking for your loyalty, we're demanding your honesty. You're in no position to bargain." The commander's eyes flickered between us, and I could see the internal struggle playing out. He knew we had him cornered, and the weight of his own pride was beginning to buckle under the pressure. "Fine," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We have 6 ships in orbit, but they're heavily armed. Our objective was to capture your planet and take you all as prisoners. We underestimated your ability to fight back." "Why?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "What do you gain from taking us prisoner?" "Our people believe humans are a potential threat," he replied, bitterness creeping into his tone. "But you're more resilient than we anticipated. We wanted to study you, learn your weaknesses, and eliminate you before you could rise against us." I exchanged glances with Marcus and Kill, sensing the weight of what the commander was revealing. "What about the other factions? Are they aligned with you?" "Some are," he replied, his expression darkening. "Others see your kind as an opportunity for profit. They're not aligned with us, but they will not hesitate to exploit any chaos we create." "Great," Marcus muttered, running a hand through his hair. "So we're dealing with multiple threats." "Exactly," I agreed, focusing on the commander again. "What's the most critical information you have about the other factions? Their strengths, weaknesses, anything that can give us the upper hand?" He hesitated, and I could feel the tension in the room thickening. I leaned closer, lowering my voice. "This isn't just about you anymore. If you help us, there's a chance we can come to an agreement." "An agreement?" he scoffed, but there was a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "You really think we can trust each other after this?" "It's either that or face the wrath of your own people when they find out you've been captured," I countered, my gaze unyielding. "You know the stakes. So do we." He was silent for a moment, his gaze flickering toward the door as if he was weighing his options. "If I tell you this, there's no going back," he said finally. "You will have to fight for your survival and mine." "Then tell us," I urged. "We're ready." "Very well," he said, a resigned look crossing his features. "The other factions are more fragmented than you realize. While we're aligned in our goals to suppress human activity, there are those among us who are unwilling to fully commit. They're waiting for a sign of your weakness, and the moment they sense it, they'll come crashing down. Any specific factions we should be concerned about? Kill pressed, her voice steady. The Threxians are a notable threat, he replied, his voice growing more urgent. They're a ruthless race, merciless in their tactics. If they catch wind of this operation failing, they will take it upon themselves to launch an all-out assault. I felt my heart sink at the revelation. The Threxians were known for their brutality and cunning, and if they saw us as weak, they would not hesitate to strike. What else? Along with them, there are remnants of other factions like the Drazians who are searching for any signs of conflict they can exploit. They thrive on chaos, he said, glancing nervously toward the door. If they realize we've failed, they will take advantage of the situation. I nodded, piecing together the information he had given us. We need to prepare for a multi-front conflict, I said, addressing my team. If they sense weakness, we could be fighting on multiple fronts. What do we do next? Marcus asked, his brow furrowed in concentration. First, we need to report back to the others and strategize, I replied. We can't allow our enemies to gain a foothold while we're still regrouping. This commander might be our only key to understanding their movements. Do you really trust him? Kill asked, her tone skeptical. Trust is a luxury we can't afford, I admitted. But we need to keep him close. He knows too much, and we'll need to leverage that information to our advantage. The commander shifted, a flicker of determination crossing his face. You think you can trust me, but I have no loyalty to your kind, he warned, his voice resolute. I will not betray my people for yours. I stepped closer, my voice low and steady. You may not want to betray your people, but your life depends on it now. You've seen what we can do. If we fail, you will be caught in the crossfire. Then what do you propose? He shot back, a mix of defiance and calculation in his gaze. Help us plan, I said, determination ringing in my voice. Help us anticipate their movements, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself in a position to negotiate your own fate. He remained silent for a moment, and I could see the gears turning in his mind. Finally, he nodded slowly, as if resigning himself to the situation. Very well, he said, his voice laced with uncertainty. But know this, if I sense betrayal, I will do everything in my power to ensure your downfall. Understood, I replied, my resolve solidifying. Now let's get to work. As we began to discuss our options, a flicker of hope ignited within me. The stakes were higher than ever, but for the first time, we had a chance. We were not just fighting for survival, we were fighting to redefine our place in this galaxy. The tension in the room was palpable as we began to map out our strategy. The commander, still restrained but more cooperative than before, laid out his knowledge of the enemy forces, their tactics, and their strengths. It felt surreal, standing there with someone who had once been an enemy, yet now seemed to hold the key to our survival. First, we need to understand their formations, the commander said, pointing at an old tactical display board that was still functional. The Threxians prefer a frontal assault, using sheer numbers to overwhelm their opponents. They're not as strategic as you might think, relying heavily on brute force and intimidation. What's their weakness? Kill asked, leaning closer to study the board. Every race has one. The commander smirked slightly, a glimmer of respect flashing in his eyes. They underestimate adaptability. Their soldiers are trained to fight in formation, and they often struggle when faced with unpredictable tactics. If you can disrupt their lines, you can cause panic. I nodded, absorbing his insights. We can use guerrilla tactics to break their formations. Small, mobile units can strike hard and retreat before they can regroup. Exactly, he said, his tone growing more animated as we plotted our course of action. But you also need to keep in mind the remnants of the other factions. They might not join the Threxians directly, but they will exploit any chaos they can find. What do you suggest? Marcus asked, crossing his arms. We can't just sit and wait for them to make a move. The commander leaned closer, his eyes narrowing in thought. We should create diversions. While you draw the Threxians into a false engagement, we can take out their communications. If they lose their coordination, they'll be vulnerable to surprise attacks. That could work, I replied, my mind racing with possibilities. But we'll need the right assets to pull it off. We can't afford to lose anyone. Don't worry, the commander said, a hint of confidence creeping into his voice. I have contacts within the ranks. If you can provide some resources, we can secure additional support. Resources? Kill echoed, her expression skeptical. How do we know you won't just turn on us? He held up his hands, the bindings clinking softly as he gestured. I'm not the one with the upper hand here. My life depends on our success. You have my word that I will not betray you. I exchanged glances with Marcus and Kill, the uncertainty hanging in the air like a fog. We'll have to take the risk, I said finally. If he's right, this might be our best shot. We should move quickly, Kill said, her voice resolute. We can't let the Threxians regroup. The longer we wait, the more time they have to prepare. Agreed, I replied, turning back to the commander. How do we contact your allies? He hesitated for a moment, clearly weighing his options. There's a hidden communications relay in the outskirts of the encampment. It's a small installation, but it's still active. If we can reach it, I can send a signal to my contacts. Then that's our next step, I said, determination flooding my veins. We'll head to the relay, and once you contact your allies, we'll implement our plan. Let's get moving, Marcus said, already preparing to lead the way. As we exited the control room, I could feel the weight of the moment settling over us. Every decision we made from this point on would be crucial. The stakes were higher than ever, and the tension between us and the commander was a constant reminder of the fragile alliance we were forging. The encampment was eerily quiet as we navigated through the narrow paths, our senses on high alert. The distant sounds of battle echoed in the background, a constant reminder of the chaos we were trying to escape. Keep your eyes open, I instructed, glancing over my shoulder to ensure the commander was still with us. We can't afford any surprises. As we moved deeper into the shadows, the landscape shifted. The once bustling alien outpost began to feel more desolate, the structures crumbling and covered in vines. It was clear that this part of the camp had been neglected, possibly due to the ongoing conflict. There it is, the commander whispered, pointing toward a small building that blended into the surrounding foliage. The relay is just inside. We approached cautiously, our footsteps muffled by the thick underbrush. I signaled for everyone to halt as we reached the door. Marcus, check for any traps or guards. He nodded, moving forward to inspect the entrance. After a few tense moments, he stepped back, a relieved look on his face. It's clear, let's get inside. We entered the building, the air thick with dust and the remnants of outdated technology. The glow of screens flickered in the dim light, casting eerie shadows on the walls. It was a far cry from the advanced tech I was used to, but it would have to do. Over here, the commander said, moving to a console that looked barely functional. He pressed a few buttons, the screen sputtering to life. I just need a moment to send the signal. I watched as he worked, the tension in the room rising. What if they don't respond? I asked, the worry creeping into my voice. They will, he replied, his focus unwavering. They know the stakes as much as we do. After what felt like an eternity, the console beeped, and the screen displayed a series of rapidly changing codes. The signal is sent, he announced, turning to us with a look of cautious optimism. Now we wait. As we stood there, the weight of our situation settled heavily on my shoulders. I could feel the clock ticking, every second a reminder of how precarious our alliance was. Let's fortify this position, I suggested, scanning the room for anything we could use to our advantage. If they respond, we'll need to be ready. We moved quickly, securing the entrances and setting up makeshift barricades. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. The dim light of the console illuminated the determined expressions on my team's faces as we prepared for what lay ahead. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as we waited in tense silence. The distant sounds of battle continued to echo, a reminder that the conflict was far from over. Suddenly, the console beeped again, and the commander leaned forward, his eyes wide with urgency. "I'm receiving a response," he exclaimed, typing rapidly on the keys. "They're ready to assist us." "Good," I replied, a surge of relief washing over me. "What do they need from us?" He paused, reading the information on the screen. "They'll send a small task force to provide support. We need to meet them outside the encampment and coordinate our next moves." "Let's do it," Marcus said, glancing toward the door. "We need to get moving before the Threxians realize we're still alive." We gathered our gear, adrenaline coursing through my veins. As we stepped back outside, the air felt charged with anticipation. The battle raged on around us, but we had a plan now, a fragile thread of hope in the chaos. As we navigated through the rubble and debris, I could feel the stakes rising. Our survival hinged on our ability to adapt and overcome the forces against us. The commander was no longer just an enemy, he was an ally, and together we had a chance to change the course of this war. The air outside was thick with the acrid scent of smoke and burnt metal, a testament to the ongoing conflict just beyond the perimeter of our encampment. As we moved cautiously through the chaos, my heart raced, fueled by a mix of fear and determination. The Threxians were relentless, and with each passing moment, I felt the weight of our precarious alliance with the commander looming over us. "Keep your heads down," I whispered, scanning the area for any signs of danger. The sounds of distant explosions reverberated in the air, punctuated by the occasional cries of combatants. We had to reach the rendezvous point before the chaos closed in around us. The commander led the way, his familiarity with the terrain evident as he navigated through the rubble with surprising ease. Kill and Marcus flanked me, their expressions tense but resolute. We had come too far to turn back now. "Over here," the commander urged, gesturing toward a narrow alleyway between two crumbling structures. "This path will take us to the outskirts without exposing us too much." I nodded, pushing aside the doubt that gnawed at the back of my mind. Trusting an enemy was a gamble, but our survival depended on this alliance. The moment we stepped into the alley, the noise from the battle seemed to fade, creating an eerie silence that heightened my senses. As we moved through the shadowy corridor, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. My instincts screamed at me to be alert, and I instinctively reached for my weapon, ready for anything. "Keep it together," Marcus murmured, glancing back at me. "We'll get through this." Just then, a loud crash echoed from behind us, followed by the unmistakable sound of Threxian voices. My heart sank as the reality of our situation sank in. We were running out of time. "Quick, we need to pick up the pace," I urged, and we hurried deeper into the alley. The commander led us through a series of twists and turns, each corner revealing more destruction. It was a grim reminder of the stakes we faced. Finally, we reached a small clearing, and the commander motioned for us to stop. "This is it," he said, pointing to a low wall that provided some cover. "We'll wait for my contacts here." The tension hung in the air as we took our positions behind the wall, peering out at the chaotic scene before us. The Threxians were advancing, their formations tightly packed, and I couldn't help but admire their relentless tenacity. "Do you really think they'll show?" Kill asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "They have to," the commander replied, glancing at her. "If they want any hope of defeating the Threxians, they need us." Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as we waited in silence, the distant sounds of battle mingling with the tension in the air. Just as I began to doubt, a flicker of movement caught my eye. I leaned forward, straining to see through the haze of smoke and debris. "There," I pointed, my heart racing. A small group of figures was approaching, their silhouettes contrasting against the flames. "That's them." As they drew closer, I could see the markings on their uniforms, distinctive symbols that confirmed their allegiance to the commander's faction. My pulse quickened with a mixture of relief and anticipation. The lead figure raised a hand in greeting, and the commander stepped out from behind the wall. "It's good to see you, my friends," he called out, a hint of joy breaking through the tension. The newcomers emerged from the shadows, their expressions serious but determined. They moved with a sense of purpose, weapons at the ready, and I felt a surge of hope as they joined our small group. "Commander," one of the newcomers said, his voice firm, "we received your signal. What's the situation?" "We're outnumbered and need a tactical advantage," the commander replied, his demeanor shifting to that of a leader. "We plan to use guerrilla tactics to disrupt the Threxian formations. Are you ready to assist?" The newcomer nodded, glancing at us with curiosity. "We've got your back. We've trained for this." I stepped forward, introducing myself and my companions. "I'm glad to have you on board. We need every advantage we can get. What's your plan?" The lead soldier shared a brief look with the commander before nodding. "We have access to a few experimental devices that could turn the tide, but we need to get closer to the main Threxian forces to deploy them effectively." "What kind of devices?" I asked, intrigued. "Disruption grenades. They'll emit a pulse that can scramble their communication systems, causing chaos in their ranks," he explained. "We'll need to time it perfectly, though. If we can catch them off guard, we might have a fighting chance." "Then let's move," I said, adrenaline surging through me. "We can't waste any more time." We formulated a plan quickly, using the limited resources at our disposal. The newcomers were well trained, their camaraderie evident as they shared their knowledge of the battlefield. I felt a newfound confidence blossoming within me, a shared purpose among allies that had once been enemies. As we prepared to move, the air grew thick with anticipation. The sounds of battle intensified, and I could feel the adrenaline pulsing through my veins. We were about to take the fight to the Threxians, and I was determined to make it count. "Stay low and move quickly," I instructed as we made our way toward the heart of the chaos. "We'll split into two groups to flank their positions." The commander and I took the lead, flanking the left side while Marcus and Kill moved right with the newcomers. The ground beneath us was littered with debris, a reminder of the destruction that had unfolded around us. As we approached the Threxian formations, I could see the intensity of the battle firsthand. The alien warriors moved with brutal efficiency, their battle cries echoing through the air. I felt a pang of fear, but I quickly pushed it aside. This was our moment. "Get ready," I whispered to the commander. "On my mark, we'll hit them hard." We waited in silence, hearts racing as we watched the Threxians march forward, their eyes fixed on the distant enemy. Time seemed to stretch, each second feeling like an eternity. "Now!" I shouted, and we surged forward, weapons raised, launching our attack. The initial burst of chaos was exhilarating. We struck fast and hard, using the element of surprise to our advantage. The Threxians, caught off guard, struggled to regroup as our combined forces unleashed a relentless assault. The disruption grenades detonated among their ranks, sending shockwaves that disrupted their communication. The once coordinated formations crumbled into confusion, panic spreading like wildfire. It was a glorious sight, one I'd never forget. "Keep pushing forward," I shouted, adrenaline surging as we pressed our advantage. The tide of battle began to shift in our favor, the chaotic energy fueling our every movement. In the heat of the moment, I caught a glimpse of Marcus and Kill on the right flank, their coordinated strikes bringing down Threxians left and right. The newcomers fought with a fervor that matched our own, their determination evident in every swing of their weapons. But just as victory seemed within reach, I felt a sudden jolt of fear as a familiar figure emerged from the smoke, a Threxian commander, towering above the fray, rallying his troops with a deafening roar. "Fall back," I shouted, my voice barely cutting through the din of battle. "We need to regroup." The Threxian commander surged forward, a terrifying presence that drew the attention of our allies. I fought to hold my ground, but the sheer force of the Threxian warriors began to push us back. As the chaos unfolded around us, I felt a sense of urgency to protect my team. "We can't let him regroup," I shouted to the commander beside me. "If we let them rally, we'll lose our chance." The Threxian commander bellowed a command, and his forces began to regroup, their movements becoming more synchronized as they prepared to launch a counterattack. The tide was turning against us, and I knew we had to act fast. "Let's take the fight to him," I urged, adrenaline pumping through my veins. "We need to disrupt their leadership." With renewed determination, we charged toward the Threxian commander, cutting a path through the chaos. I could feel the fear and uncertainty behind me, but I refused to falter. We had to seize this opportunity. As we closed in, the Threxian commander turned to face us, his eyes narrowing as he realized our intent. "Fools!" he roared, raising his weapon in defiance. The clash that followed was fierce and brutal. The Threxian commander fought with a savagery that matched our resolve, each strike echoing through the chaos. I felt the weight of my mission pressing down on me, but I pushed through, determined to protect my team. In the midst of the fray, I caught a glimpse of Kill and Marcus fighting their way toward us, their determination shining through the chaos. We were more than just a team. We were a force to be reckoned with. The battle raged on, but I could feel the tide beginning to shift once more. Our combined strength was overwhelming, and the Threxian commander struggled to maintain control over his troops. With a final, desperate lunge, I aimed for his weapon, striking hard and fast. The clash of metal rang out, and in that moment I felt a surge of hope. We were going to win this fight, together. The clash of weapons echoed through the battlefield as I struggled against the Threxian commander. His muscles rippled under his armor, and the intensity of his fury was palpable. Every strike he aimed at me was a testament to the ferocity of his species. I could see the fearlessness in his eyes, a primal instinct that drove him to protect his troops at all costs. "Is this the best humanity has to offer?" he taunted, his voice low and menacing. "You'll fall like the rest." "Not today," I shot back, determination flooding my veins. "Not while I stand with my team." Just as I lunged forward, aiming for his midsection, he sidestepped with surprising agility and retaliated with a brutal backhand. I felt the impact like a sledgehammer, sending me staggering backward, but I quickly regained my footing, refusing to let him gain the upper hand. My vision flickered, the chaos around us blending into a blur. I could see Kill and Marcus fighting their way through the fray, their faces set in grim determination. I felt a flicker of hope. If we could defeat this commander, we could disrupt the entire Threxian force. "Marcus," I shouted, catching his eye. "Cover me." He nodded, his face resolute as he engaged another Threxian warrior, creating an opening for me. I took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of strength within me as I surged toward the commander once more. With each step, the chaos around me began to fall away. I focused on my target, my heart pounding in rhythm with the battle cries and the explosions in the distance. This was it. I was going to end this fight. As I lunged forward again, I feigned left and then pivoted right, surprising the commander as I aimed my weapon straight for his exposed side. My blade sliced through the air, connecting with the armor, sending sparks flying. He howled in anger, staggering back, but not before delivering a brutal counter-strike that sent me crashing to the ground. "Foolish human," he roared, his voice a mixture of rage and disbelief. "You think you can challenge me?" I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to stand. I couldn't let him intimidate me. I had to protect my team, my home. With renewed determination, I launched myself at him again, my weapon raised high. This time, Marcus joined the fray, rushing to my side. "Together," he shouted, his eyes filled with determination. Kill was right behind us, her weapon poised and ready. We pressed the attack, the three of us working in unison against the formidable foe. The Threxian commander was skilled, but the combined strength of our teamwork began to wear him down. He fought back fiercely, but with each blow we struck, I could see the doubt creeping into his eyes. "Stay together," I urged, our movements synchronized. We were a force to be reckoned with, and I could feel the tide of battle shifting once more. Just as we thought we had the upper hand, the commander let out a furious bellow, signaling to his remaining troops. They surged forward, their ranks tightening, and I felt a wave of dread wash over me. We were outnumbered, and if we didn't act quickly, we'd be overwhelmed. "Fall back," I shouted, retreating just a few steps as I assessed our situation. "We need to regroup." "Not without taking him down," Kill yelled back, her eyes ablaze with determination. "We can't let him escape." In that moment, I knew she was right. If we let the commander escape, he would only rally his forces and strike back harder. We had to finish this here and now. "Then let's do it," I shouted, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "We need to strike hard and fast." With renewed resolve, we charged forward once more, pushing through the encroaching Threxian warriors. Our weapons clashed with theirs, the sound a brutal symphony that filled the air. I could feel the heat of the battle rising around us, a maelstrom of chaos and determination. The commander was still in sight, his presence a focal point in the chaos. I knew that if we could bring him down, it would send a shock wave through the Threxian forces, possibly even causing them to retreat. "Focus on him," I shouted, my voice cutting through the chaos. "We can't let him regroup." We moved as one, weaving through the battlefield with a sense of urgency. The Threxian commander fought with renewed fury, his strikes more desperate as he tried to fend us off. I could see the flicker of desperation in his eyes, a hint that he recognized the threat we posed. As we closed in, I felt a surge of confidence. We were stronger together, our resolve unyielding. "On my mark," I shouted, raising my weapon for a final strike. The commander roared, swinging his weapon wildly, but I ducked just in time, evading his attack. In that moment, everything slowed down. Time stretched, and I could feel the energy coursing through me, a burning desire to end this fight. "Now," I yelled, and we launched our final assault, moving in a coordinated effort to overpower the Threxian commander. Our blades met his armor with a resounding clash, and I felt the momentum shift. We pressed forward, our strikes landing with precision, forcing him back step by step. The determination in our eyes fueled the fire within us, pushing us to fight harder, to give everything we had. With one final, desperate lunge, I aimed for the commander's vulnerable neck. My weapon connected with a sickening thud, and for a moment, the world fell silent. He staggered back, eyes wide with disbelief, and then crumpled to the ground. The chaos around us fell into a stunned silence, the realization of our victory washing over us like a tidal wave. "We did it!" Marcus shouted, a mixture of disbelief and triumph in his voice. "We actually did it." But just as I began to revel in our hard-earned victory, the ground shook beneath us, and a deafening roar erupted from the Threxian ranks. My heart sank as I looked around, realizing that our victory had come at a price. The remaining Threxians were rallying, their fear transforming into rage as they witnessed the fall of their commander. I could see their eyes filled with fury, and I knew they would fight with a renewed ferocity. "Fall back," I shouted, my voice slicing through the chaos. "We need to regroup." But it was too late. The Threxians charged forward, their numbers overwhelming as they surged toward us with relentless determination. "We can't hold them," Kill shouted, her voice filled with panic. "Stick together," I yelled back, my heart racing. "We can't let them break our line." We formed a tight circle, weapons raised, preparing to face the oncoming wave of Threxian warriors. But even as we braced ourselves for the inevitable clash, I felt a sense of resolve wash over me. We had fought hard to get here, and I wasn't about to back down now. The first Threxian crashed into our formation, and the chaos erupted around us once more. I fought with every ounce of strength, determination coursing through me as I struck back, refusing to let fear take hold. In the midst of the chaos, I caught sight of the newcomers fighting alongside us, their movements fluid and precise. We were a united front, and together, we could overcome this final challenge. As the battle raged on, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders, but I refused to let it crush me. We had come too far to falter now. "Hold the line," I shouted, my voice ringing out as we fought against the tide of Threxians. "We're not finished yet." With every strike, every deflected blow, I felt a flicker of hope growing within me. We had already defied the odds, and we could do it again. And as I fought alongside my comrades, I knew that together, we were unstoppable. The battlefield had transformed into a chaotic symphony of clashing weapons and anguished cries. The Threxians pressed in on us, their ranks relentless, but we stood firm, determined not to be swept away by the tide of their fury. I could feel the sweat pooling beneath my armor, but the fire within me burned hotter than ever. "Keep pushing," I shouted, my voice carrying over the din. "We've taken down their commander. They'll break if we hold strong." Beside me, Kill swung her weapon with a fierce cry, her determination unwavering. Marcus was on my other side, his face a mask of focus as he parried a Threxian blow, countering with a brutal strike that sent his opponent crashing to the ground. I could see the Threxians faltering, their morale shaken by the fall of their leader. They fought with a ferocity born of desperation, but the realization that we had overpowered their commander spread through their ranks like wildfire. Their numbers were formidable, but the fear of defeat began to gnaw at them. "Now is our chance," I roared, rallying my comrades. "If we can disrupt their formation, we can turn the tide of this battle." With renewed resolve, we surged forward as one, pushing through the chaos and striking at the heart of the Threxian forces. Every blow we landed was a testament to our strength and unity, and I felt a surge of adrenaline propelling me forward. "Stick together," I shouted again, knowing that our strength lay in our unity. "Keep moving." We fought as one, our movements synchronized, a deadly dance that cut through the confusion of the battlefield. The Threxians, though fierce, began to waver as we pushed deeper into their ranks. I could see their eyes darting around, uncertainty creeping in. Then, in a sudden moment of clarity, it happened. A shout rang out from the Threxian lines, a sound that echoed with panic. "They're breaking! Retreat!" The word rippled through the enemy forces like a wave, and in that instant, everything shifted. The Threxians turned, their resolve crumbling as they began to fall back, fear overtaking their fury. It was a moment of chaos, and I knew we had to seize it. "After them," I yelled, urging my team forward. "Let's finish this." We pressed the advantage, our hearts pounding with a thrill of victory. As we chased the retreating Threxians, I felt a sense of exhilaration wash over me. We had done the unthinkable. We had turned the tide of battle and struck a blow against our enemies. In the distance, I could see the Threxians regrouping, desperate to hold their ground, but they were no match for our momentum. The chaos of the battlefield began to shift, our warriors pushing harder and faster, refusing to let them escape. With every step, I felt the energy of the fight coursing through me. The adrenaline and excitement mingled with a sense of purpose that drove me forward. We were a force to be reckoned with, and we would not back down. As we closed in on the remaining Threxians, I caught a glimpse of their commander's standard being ripped down, a clear signal of our victory. It was a moment I would remember for the rest of my life, a symbol of our resilience and strength. But even amidst the victory, a sense of caution crept in. The battle wasn't over yet. We had to ensure that our victory was secure. The Threxians were regrouping, and I knew they would fight back with everything they had left. "Stay sharp," I called to my comrades, my heart racing as we approached the remnants of the Threxian forces. "They'll fight to the last." The Threxians turned to face us, their faces a mix of fear and defiance. I could see their eyes, wide and desperate, and for a moment I felt a pang of sympathy. They were warriors, too, caught in a conflict that had spiraled out of control. "Remember why we fight," I urged, feeling the weight of our cause behind me. "We fight for our home, our people. Let's finish this." With renewed determination, we charged forward once more, our cries ringing out as we engaged the Threxians. The clash of metal echoed around us, and the chaos enveloped us again. But this time, it felt different. We were fueled by a sense of purpose that ignited our souls. We fought fiercely, our movements precise and powerful. The Threxians, despite their desperation, were beginning to falter. I could see them retreating, their ranks thinning as they struggled to maintain their ground. And then it happened. One by one, the Threxian warriors began to fall back, their morale shattered by the relentless pressure of our assault. The tide of battle had turned, and we were on the cusp of victory. I pressed forward, determined to chase them down and secure our win. The exhilaration of battle coursed through my veins as I fought my way through the remnants of their forces. My comrades were by my side, their faces determined and fierce. "Don't let them escape," I shouted, my voice cutting through the noise. "We finish this today." With every step, I could feel the thrill of victory rising within me. We had faced insurmountable odds, and now we were on the brink of triumph. The thought of returning home, of celebrating our hard-fought victory, pushed me forward. As the last of the Threxians fell back, I felt a rush of adrenaline surge through me. We had done it. Against all odds, we had fought back, united as one against a common enemy. The battlefield around us began to quiet, the chaos giving way to a strange silence. I took a deep breath, surveying the remnants of the battlefield, the ground littered with signs of our fierce struggle. We had stood together, united in purpose and strength, and we had prevailed. The reality of our victory began to sink in, a mixture of relief and exhilaration flooding my senses. "Victory!" Kill shouted, her voice breaking the silence as she raised her weapon in triumph. "We did it!" Cheers erupted from our ranks, a chorus of voices celebrating our hard-earned victory. We had fought against overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. The Threxian threat had been vanquished, at least for now. But even in our celebration, I knew we had to remain vigilant. The galaxy was vast, and threats would always lurk in the shadows. We would face new challenges, but we had proven that we could rise to any occasion. As I looked around at my comrades, my friends, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me. We had fought together, and together we had triumphed. This battle had forged a bond between us, one that would withstand the tests of time. And in that moment, I realized that victory wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about standing together, fighting for what we believed in, and refusing to back down in the face of adversity. As the cheers of victory echoed around me, I knew that we had written our own story, a story of resilience, strength, and the unbreakable spirit of humanity. And as we celebrated our triumph, I couldn't help but feel hopeful for the future. This was just the beginning. The air shimmered with anticipation as I stood on the observation deck of the US Horizon. It was a massive ship, a blend of human engineering and the lessons learned from our recent intergalactic battles. The stars outside were breathtaking, twinkling like diamonds scattered across an infinite expanse. I gazed into the abyss, reflecting on how much had changed since our victory over the Threxians. Just a few months prior, we had been fighting for our survival. Now, we were at the forefront of intergalactic politics. "Marcus, come look at this," Kill called from the control panel, pulling me from my thoughts. He was my closest ally and a key member of the team that had led us through the last battle. Kill had a knack for uncovering information, and this time, it seemed he had stumbled onto something significant. I approached, leaning over his shoulder to see the holographic display flickering to life. It showed a map of the galaxy, with various star systems illuminated. But it wasn't the map that caught my eye. It was the pulsating red dot in the center. "The Zarvath," Kill said, his voice low. "They've been monitoring our communications since the battle. They're plotting something." The mention of the Zarvath sent a chill down my spine. They were a race shrouded in mystery and power. Their advanced technology was rumored to be unmatched, and their motivations were often inscrutable. "They want to make a move now that we're vulnerable," I replied, my mind racing. "We can't let them take advantage of our newfound position." Just then, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Captain Marcus and Lieutenant Kill, report to the command center immediately." Kill and I exchanged glances. There was urgency in the voice, a tone that suggested this was more than just a routine briefing. As we made our way to the command center, I couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was on the brink of chaos again. We had just started to build alliances, to show that humanity could be a force for good. Yet here we were, facing another threat. The command center was bustling with activity. Officers and technicians moved swiftly, their faces etched with concern. Captain Reese stood at the helm, her hands clasped behind her back, looking more serious than I had ever seen her. "Glad you could join us," she said, her voice steady. "We have reports from the Threxian outpost. They've intercepted a transmission that suggests the Zarvath are planning to use the Threxians to start a conflict. I felt my heart race. They're manipulating them? Ree nodded. They've been spreading propaganda, trying to convince the Threxians that humanity is a threat. If they succeed, we could be looking at a war on multiple fronts. Kill crossed his arms, his brow furrowing. We need to counteract that. If the Threxians turn against us, we'll be fighting an uphill battle. Exactly, Ree replied. We can't afford to lose the Threxians' trust. They're pivotal in maintaining peace with the other races. We need to send a diplomatic team to negotiate. I straightened. I'll lead the team. Kill looked at me, surprise flickering in his eyes. Are you sure? It's dangerous out there, especially if the Zarvath are involved. I know, I said, meeting his gaze. But we need to show them that humanity is here to stay. I can't let them think we're weak. Reconsidered for a moment before nodding. Then it's settled. You'll take Kill and a few others. Gather your team and prepare for departure. The weight of the task settled on my shoulders. This wasn't just about diplomacy, it was about humanity's future. As I left the command center, Kill fell into step beside me. You really think this will work? It has to, I said, determination flooding my veins. We can't let the Zarvath dictate our fate. We've come too far to lose it all now. We gathered our team Torin, a Threxian warrior who had proven his loyalty during the last conflict. Ayla, a human engineer with a sharp mind and an unparalleled understanding of alien technology, and Gorlax, a Quarrens who was as strong as he was wise. Together, we formed a group that combined brute strength with intelligence and diplomacy. As we prepared for our departure, I took a moment to reflect on how far we had come. Not long ago, I was just a soldier on Earth, fighting for survival. Now, I was leading a team into the heart of interstellar politics, representing humanity's hopes and dreams. The horizon powered up, its engines humming with anticipation. As we launched into the vast unknown, the stars seemed to shimmer with promise. But deep down, I could feel the tension a storm was brewing, and we were heading straight into its eye. Our arrival at the Threxian outpost was met with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The station was a sprawling complex, adorned with the Threxians' distinctive architectural style, sharp angles and sweeping curves, a testament to their cultural heritage. I could see Threxian warriors stationed at every corner, their eyes narrowing as we approached. Torin stepped forward, his imposing figure radiating strength. I'll handle the introductions, he said, his voice deep and resonant. I nodded, trusting his instincts. He was well respected among his people, and it would be crucial to leverage that respect as we navigated this tense situation. As we disembarked, I could feel the weight of the moment. This was more than a diplomatic mission. It was a test of our newfound alliances. Would the Threxians accept our help, or would the Zarvath's manipulations drive a wedge between us? Torin approached the Threxian commander, his posture confident yet respectful. Commander Vrax, we come in peace, he announced, his voice booming across the courtyard. We have urgent news regarding the Zarvath. Vrax, a formidable figure with a crest that flared in response to our presence, regarded us with narrowed eyes. You are bold to come here, human. We have heard whispers of your victory, but the Zarvath have cast doubts upon your intentions. I stepped forward, hoping to convey our sincerity. Commander Vrax, we're here to prove that humanity is not your enemy. We fought alongside you against the Threxian uprising, and we stand ready to assist you against any manipulation by the Zarvath. The commander regarded me carefully, his gaze piercing. And how can you prove your words? The Zarvath are cunning. Their reach extends far beyond what we comprehend. I felt a surge of determination. We can share intelligence about their operations, their tactics. Together, we can counter their influence. But we need your trust. Vrax studied me for a long moment before nodding slowly. Trust is earned, not given freely. Prove your loyalty, and I may consider your offer. As we exchanged information, I could sense the subtle shift in the air. The Threxians were cautious but receptive, their warriors beginning to lower their weapons. It was a small victory, but it was a start. Over the next few days, we worked tirelessly, sharing our knowledge of the Zarvath and their methods. Our discussions were filled with tension and uncertainty, but the bonds we were forging began to strengthen. Yet, I could sense something lurking beneath the surface. Vrax's warriors were restless, their loyalty wavering. The Zarvath's propaganda was deep-rooted, and the fight for their hearts and minds was far from over. One evening, as I reviewed our intelligence reports, Kill joined me in the command room. "Something feels off, Marcus. The Threxians are acting more erratic. I think the Zarvath are making their move." I rubbed my temples, feeling the weight of the impending conflict. "We need to confront them directly. If we can expose their manipulations, we might stand a chance." Kill nodded, his eyes gleaming with determination. "Let's do it. Together, we can show them the truth." As we formulated a plan, the tension grew palpable. Time was running out, and we had to act before the Zarvath could complete their schemes. The next day, we gathered with the Threxian leadership in their war chamber. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, the air buzzing with the unspoken fears and hopes of our coalition. "Today, we confront the lies of the Zarvath," I announced, standing before the assembled commanders. "They seek to divide us, to manipulate your people into believing that humanity is a threat. We must unite against this falsehood." Vrax stood beside me, his imposing presence a symbol of our alliance. "I will not allow my people to be pawns in the Zarvath's games. We will fight for the truth." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly, igniting a spark of hope. The Threxians were beginning to see us not as outsiders, but as allies. As we prepared to launch our counteroffensive against the Zarvath's propaganda, my heart raced. This was the moment we had been working towards, the chance to expose the truth and solidify our alliances. But the moment was short-lived. Just as we were about to enact our plan, alarms blared throughout the outpost. The walls shook as an explosion rocked the chamber, sending debris flying. "Breach!" shouted one of the Threxian officers. "The Zarvath have attacked." Panic erupted, and I instinctively grabbed Kill's arm. "We need to regroup and prepare for battle. They're not going to let us undermine their plans without a fight." As we rallied the Threxian forces, the chaos swirled around us. I could see warriors moving to their stations, their resolve hardening in the face of danger. Vrax bellowed orders, his commanding presence cutting through the noise. "We will not be intimidated. Rally to the defenses. We fight together." I felt a rush of adrenaline as I prepared to lead the charge. The Threxians had accepted us as allies, and now it was our duty to stand with them against the impending threat. As the first wave of Zarvath soldiers breached the outer perimeter, we met them with a fierce determination. The battle was chaotic, filled with blaster fire and the sounds of clashing weapons. I fought alongside Torrent, Kill, and Gorlax, the camaraderie of our diverse group fueling our resolve. Each moment was a testament to the strength of our alliance, humanity and Threxians standing shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy. But amidst the battle, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Zarvath were not merely warriors, they were strategists. They would not have attacked without a plan. As we fought back the initial assault, I caught sight of a Zarvath commander, sleek and imposing, orchestrating the chaos from the shadows. "Stay sharp," I shouted to my team. "We need to neutralize their leader." With newfound determination, we pushed forward, weaving through the fray to reach the commander. I could feel the pulse of battle around me, each moment heightened by the stakes at hand. "Together," I roared, as we charged towards the enemy leader. In the thick of the chaos, we clashed with the Zarvath commander. He was a formidable opponent, his agility and skill evident in every move. Yet, we fought as a united front, combining our strengths to counter his every attack. "Humans think they can challenge the Zarvath," he sneered, his voice echoing through the chaos. "You are fools." "Fools or not, we will not back down," Kill shouted, parrying a strike aimed at my flank. As the battle raged on, I saw Torin and Gorlax engage with other Zarvath soldiers, their fierce loyalty shining through their every move. We were a force to be reckoned with. Finally, we cornered the Zarvath commander against a crumbling wall. He eyed us warily, a mix of frustration and disbelief etched on his features. "You will pay for this insolence," he hissed, raising his weapon. "Not today," I replied, lunging forward and disarming him in one swift motion. As the commander fell to the ground, his eyes narrowed in rage. "You may have won this battle, but the war is far from over." I turned to my team, adrenaline coursing through my veins. "We need to rally our forces and push them back." With renewed determination, we fought to reclaim the outpost, driving the Zarvath back and securing our position. The victory was hard won, but it sent a powerful message: humanity was not to be underestimated. As we surveyed the aftermath of the battle, I felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. We had held our ground against the Zarvath, but I knew this was only the beginning. "We need to regroup and strategize," I said, turning to my team. "The Zarvath won't give up so easily. We need to prepare for their next move." Vrax approached, his expression serious. "Your bravery today has proven your worth, humans. We will stand with you against the Zarvath, but we must be vigilant." I nodded, grateful for the Threxians' support. Together, we can forge a new future, one built on trust and cooperation. As we began to discuss our next steps, I felt a renewed sense of hope. We had faced the storm and emerged stronger, united against a common threat. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle lay ahead. The Zarvath would not be easily deterred, and I knew we needed to be ready for whatever came next. Days passed, and we continued to fortify our defenses while working to mend the rift caused by the Zarvath's manipulation. The Threxians were slowly coming around, but it was evident that the damage done would take time to heal. One evening, as we convened in the war room, I spread out a holographic map of the galaxy. Kill stood beside me, his brow furrowed in thought. "We need to make a move before the Zarvath regroup," he said. "They're not the type to back down quietly." I nodded, scanning the map for possible targets. "What about their supply lines? If we can cut off their resources, we might cripple their operations." Torin stepped forward, his deep voice resonating with authority. "The Threxians have a network of scouts. If we can coordinate with them, we may be able to track their movements." I looked at the map again, focusing on the glowing dots that represented Zarvath outposts. "Let's mobilize our forces. We'll strike their supply routes and disrupt their operations. But we need to be quick and precise." As we formulated our plan, a sense of urgency filled the room. The threat of the Zarvath loomed over us, and the need for decisive action became increasingly clear. Our team prepared to launch the strike on the Zarvath's supply lines. The atmosphere was charged with tension as we gathered in the hangar bay, ready to board our ships. "Remember, we're counting on the Threxians to provide support," I reminded my team. "Stick to the plan, and we can disrupt their operations." As we boarded the horizon, Kill settled into the pilot's seat, his fingers dancing over the controls. "We're ready to launch on your command." With a deep breath, I nodded. "Let's do this." As we shot into the stars, I couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and dread. This mission could change everything. It was a chance to turn the tide against the Zarvath. As we approached the target, the air crackled with anticipation. The distant outpost loomed ahead, surrounded by a series of smaller supply ships. "There they are," Kill said, his voice steady. "We'll hit them hard and fast." "Take out their defenses first," I ordered. "We can't risk being overwhelmed." We dove into the fray, our ships weaving through enemy fire as we engaged the defenses. Blaster fire lit up the darkness, illuminating the chaos that surrounded us. I focused on the task at hand, coordinating our movements with the Threxian forces that had joined us. Together, we struck hard, cutting through the defenses with precision. "Target their supply ships," I shouted, guiding our team through the chaos. "We need to disrupt their resources." The Threxian warriors followed my lead, their fierce determination evident in every move. As we pushed deeper into enemy territory, we quickly overwhelmed the defenses, but I knew this wasn't over. The Zarvath would respond, and we had to be prepared for a counterattack. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship. "Incoming vessels," Kill shouted, his hands flying over the controls. "Brace for impact," I yelled, gripping the edge of my seat as the ship rocked under the force of enemy fire. The Threxians rallied, their fierce resolve shining through. "We will not back down," Torin shouted, leading his warriors into the fray. As the enemy vessels closed in, I scanned the area for a way to turn the tide. "Kill, can you divert power to the forward shields?" "Working on it," he replied, sweat glistening on his brow as he pushed the ship to its limits. The enemy ships advanced, their weapons primed and ready to fire. "Now," I shouted, as we unleashed a barrage of blaster fire, taking out the closest enemy vessel. The explosion illuminated the dark void, a brilliant flash against the backdrop of stars. We pushed forward, determined to break through their lines. "More ships incoming," Kill warned, his voice steady despite the chaos. "They're regrouping." "Rally the Threxians. We need to create a defensive line," I ordered, my heart pounding as I prepared for the next wave of attacks. As we fought back, I could see the resolve of our combined forces shining through. The Threxians fought with the strength of their ancestors, and we fought with the tenacity of a united species. After what felt like an eternity, we managed to push back the initial wave of enemy ships. The supply lines were within reach, but the battle was far from over. As we secured the area, I felt a sense of urgency wash over me. We need to take out the main supply depot before they can regroup. The team rallied around me, their expressions determined. "Let's finish this," Kill said, his eyes burning with resolve. With a final push, we advanced towards the supply depot, our ships weaving through enemy fire. The depot was heavily guarded, but we couldn't afford to back down now. "Focus fire on the guards," I shouted, coordinating our attack as we moved in unison. As we fought through the defenses, I could see the depot looming ahead. It was a massive structure, surrounded by barricades and enemy soldiers. "This is it," Torin yelled, charging forward with a roar. Together, we broke through the final defenses, our hearts pounding as we fought side by side. The depot was within our grasp, and I could feel the weight of our mission on my shoulders. With one final push, we breached the entrance to the depot. The interior was a maze of crates and supplies, and I knew we had to act fast. "Set the explosives," I shouted, urgency fueling my every word. As the team worked to plant the explosives, I couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. The Zarvath would be back, and we needed to be ready. "Let's move," I urged, glancing over my shoulder as the sounds of battle echoed behind us. We finished planting the explosives and raced back to our ships, adrenaline coursing through our veins. "Get us out of here," I commanded Kill as we boarded the horizon. As we flew away from the depot, a deafening explosion erupted behind us. The shockwave rattled our ship, and I felt a rush of triumph wash over me. We had disrupted the Zarvath's supply lines and dealt a significant blow to their operations. As we regrouped with the Threxian forces, I felt a sense of pride in what we had accomplished. "We did it," I shouted, my voice filled with elation. Vrax approached, a look of respect on his face. "You have proven yourself as a leader today, human. We will continue to fight alongside you." "Thank you," I replied, humbled by his words. "Together, we can take the fight to the Zarvath." As we celebrated our victory, I knew that the war was far from over. The Zarvath would retaliate, and we needed to be ready for whatever came next. "Let's prepare for the battles ahead," I said, looking around at my team. "We've shown them what we're capable of, but we need to remain vigilant." With a renewed sense of purpose, we began to strategize for the next phase of our fight. The Zarvath may have underestimated us, but we were ready to prove them wrong. Weeks passed, and we focused on reinforcing our alliances and preparing for the inevitable counteroffensive from the Zarvath. The victories we had achieved had strengthened our resolve, but I could sense the tension in the air. One evening, while poring over battle reports with Kill, I leaned back in my chair, fatigue weighing heavily on me. "Do you think they're planning something big?" Kill glanced up, his brow furrowed in thought. "It's possible. They won't take our victories lightly. They're likely regrouping and devising a new strategy." Torin walked in, his expression grim. "We've intercepted communications suggesting that the Zarvath are rallying their forces for a major assault. We need to prepare for their attack." I felt a chill run down my spine. "How long do we have?" "Days, maybe a week at most," Torin replied. "We need to fortify our defenses and gather our allies." I stood, determination igniting within me. "Then let's get to work. We need to be ready for them." As we mobilized our forces, I took a moment to survey the growing army of Threxians and our human allies. The unity between our races was palpable, and I felt a surge of pride at what we had accomplished together. "Rally the troops," I commanded, my voice carrying over the assembled forces. "The Zarvath think they can intimidate us, but we will show them the strength of our alliance." The warriors erupted in cheers, their fervor igniting my own. Over the next few days, we fortified our defenses, setting up barricades and preparing weaponry for the impending onslaught. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. The sky was thick with the ominous hum of approaching Zarvath ships, and my heart raced as I stood among my allies, ready for the fight. "We stand united today," I shouted, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. "No matter what happens, we will fight for our homes and our freedom." As the enemy ships descended, the battlefield transformed into a chaotic symphony of blaster fire and shouts. I fought alongside Kill, Torin, and Gorlax, our teamwork seamless as we defended against the initial wave of attackers. The Threxians fought with a ferocity that matched our own, their loyalty evident in every move. But the Zarvath were relentless, pushing us back and trying to exploit any weaknesses in our defenses. "Stay focused," I yelled, urging my team to press on. "We can't let them breach our lines." As the battle raged, I caught sight of the Zarvath commander from before, his eyes gleaming with malice as he rallied his forces. "Find him," I shouted to my team. "We need to take him down." With renewed determination, we charged towards the commander, weaving through the chaos of battle. In the heart of the fray, we clashed with the Zarvath commander once more. His speed and agility were impressive, but we were driven by a shared purpose that fueled our resolve. "You again?" he sneered, eyes narrowing as he prepared to engage. "This time, it ends here," I shouted, lunging forward with my weapon. The clash of metal and blaster fire surrounded us, and I felt every blow resonate with the weight of our struggles. We fought together, every move precise as we countered his attacks. "Fools!" the commander spat, fury evident in his voice. "You cannot hope to defeat the Zarvath." "Watch us," Kill replied, his voice steady as he parried a strike aimed at me. As we pressed forward, I could feel the tide turning. Our unity was our greatest weapon, and we fought with the strength of our combined forces. With a final surge, we overwhelmed the commander, disarming him once more. "This is for everyone you've hurt," I shouted, landing a decisive blow that sent him sprawling to the ground. His eyes burned with rage as he struggled to rise. "You may win today, but we will return." "We'll be ready," I replied, my heart racing as I turned back to the battlefield. With the Zarvath commander down, we rallied our forces, pushing back the enemy with renewed vigor. The sight of our combined strength ignited a fire within me, and I knew we could win this fight. As we continued to drive back the Zarvath, I caught a glimpse of Vrax rallying the Threxian warriors, his presence commanding and fierce. "We will not falter," he shouted, his voice resonating through the chaos. "Stand strong for your kin and allies." His words spurred us on, and we pressed the advantage, reclaiming ground with every step. Finally, after what felt like hours of relentless fighting, The Zarvath began to retreat, their forces dwindling as we pushed them back. As the dust settled, I felt a surge of triumph wash over me. "We did it!" I shouted, my heart swelling with pride. "We've pushed them back!" The cheers of our allies filled the air, and I knew this victory would resonate across the galaxy. Together, we had proven our strength and resolve against the Zarvath. In the aftermath of the battle, we gathered to assess the damage and celebrate our hard-fought victory. The mood was jubilant, yet I could see the weight of our struggles etched on the faces of my allies. As Vrax approached, I felt a sense of gratitude for the Threxians' unwavering support. "You fought bravely, human," he said, his voice filled with respect. "Together, we are stronger." "Thank you," I replied, humbled by his words. "This victory is a testament to our unity." We began discussing our next steps, knowing the war was far from over. The Zarvath would undoubtedly regroup and retaliate, and we needed to remain vigilant. "Let's use this victory to our advantage," I suggested. "We can rally more allies to our cause and strike while they are vulnerable." Torin nodded, determination shining in his eyes. "We'll need to prepare for their next move. This is our chance to turn the tide." With renewed purpose, we set to work, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Zarvath had underestimated us, but we were ready to prove them wrong. As we forged ahead in our fight against the Zarvath, our victories became a beacon of hope for those who had suffered under their reign. News of our triumph spread like wildfire, drawing the attention of potential allies across the galaxy. One evening, as we gathered to strategize our next moves, Kill looked up from a communication console. "We've received a transmission from a group of traders in the neighboring sector. They want to meet." "Traders?" I asked, intrigued. "What do they want?" "They've expressed interest in joining our cause," Kill replied. "They've been victims of the Zarvath's raids and are willing to offer us their support in exchange for protection." I glanced at my team, weighing the potential benefits. If they have resources and connections, we should hear them out. Every ally counts. Torin nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Let's set up a meeting. We need to know what they can bring to the table." The following day, we met with the traders aboard the Horizon. They were a diverse group, a mix of various species united by their shared suffering at the hands of the Zarvath. As we gathered around the table, I introduced myself. "I'm Captain Aaron, and this is my team. We appreciate you reaching out to us." One of the traders, a stout creature with deep-set eyes and a commanding presence, nodded. "I'm Varus, leader of this coalition. We've seen what you've accomplished against the Zarvath, and we want to join forces." "What do you offer?" I asked, leaning forward. Varus exchanged glances with his companions. "We control vital trade routes and have access to resources the Zarvath cannot reach. If we band together, we can cripple their supply lines." "Then let's work together," I replied, excitement bubbling within me. "We can coordinate our efforts and launch joint operations against the Zarvath." As we finalized our alliance, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. With each new ally, our strength grew, and I knew we were on the cusp of something greater. Over the following weeks, we coordinated joint missions with Varus and his coalition, executing daring raids on Zarvath supply routes and bases. The thrill of victory fueled our momentum, and I felt a growing bond between our forces. But the Zarvath were not idle. We received word of their new tactics, and I knew we had to be prepared for whatever they had planned. One evening, as we reviewed our strategy, Torin leaned back in his chair, a look of concern on his face. "We've been successful, but we need to be cautious. The Zarvath will retaliate, and they'll come at us hard." Kill nodded, his expression serious. "We need to fortify our defenses and anticipate their moves. They won't give up easily." I felt the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders. "You're right. Let's prepare for the worst while we continue our offensive." Days turned into weeks, and we maintained our offensive against the Zarvath, hitting them where it hurt. Our raids were successful, and we gained valuable intelligence about their operations. But as I gathered my team one evening, I couldn't shake the feeling that the Zarvath were planning something significant. Stay alert, I urged my team. We need to remain vigilant. I can't help but feel that they're preparing for a major strike against us. Just as I spoke, the alarms blared, and a sense of dread filled the air. Zarvath ships approaching, Kill shouted, his eyes wide with urgency. Everyone to battle stations, I commanded, adrenaline coursing through my veins. As we readied for battle, I felt a surge of determination. We had faced the Zarvath before, and we would do so again. The enemy ships descended from the sky, darkening the horizon like a storm. Prepare for engagement, I shouted, my heart racing as we took our positions. The first shots rang out, and the chaos of battle erupted around us. I fought alongside my team, our synergy evident as we moved as one, weaving through the enemy fire. But I soon realized that the Zarvath had brought reinforcements, larger ships, and more powerful weapons. This isn't just a raid, Torin shouted over the din. They're coming for us. We can't let them breach our defenses, I yelled, rallying my team. As we fought, I caught a glimpse of the Zarvath commander from before, his eyes gleaming with malice as he rallied his forces. Find him, I shouted to my team. We need to take him down. With renewed determination, we charged towards the commander, weaving through the chaos of battle. In the heart of the fray, we clashed with the Zarvath commander once more. His speed and agility were impressive, but we were driven by a shared purpose that fueled our resolve. You again? He sneered, eyes narrowing as he prepared to engage. This time, it ends here, I shouted, lunging forward with my weapon. The clash of metal and blaster fire surrounded us, and I felt every blow resonate with the weight of our struggles. We fought together, every move precise as we countered his attacks. Fools, the commander spat, fury evident in his voice. You cannot hope to defeat the Zarvath. Watch us, Kill replied, his voice steady as he parried a strike aimed at me. As we pressed forward, I could feel the tide turning. Our unity was our greatest weapon, and we fought with the strength of our combined forces. With a final surge, we overwhelmed the commander, disarming him once more. This is for everyone you've hurt, I shouted, landing a decisive blow that sent him sprawling to the ground. His eyes burned with rage as he struggled to rise. You may win today, but we will return. We'll be ready, I replied, my heart racing as I turned back to the battlefield. With the Zarvath commander down, we rallied our forces, pushing back the enemy with renewed vigor. The sight of our combined strength ignited a fire within me, and I knew we could win this fight. As we continued to drive back the Zarvath, I caught a glimpse of Vrax rallying the Threxian warriors, his presence commanding and fierce. We will not falter, he shouted, his voice resonating through the chaos. Stand strong for your kin and allies. His words spurred us on, and we pressed the advantage, reclaiming ground with every step. Finally, after what felt like hours of relentless fighting, the Zarvath began to retreat, their forces dwindling as we pushed them back. As the dust settled, I felt a surge of triumph wash over me. We did it, I shouted, my heart swelling with pride. We've pushed them back. The cheers of our allies filled the air, and I knew this victory would resonate across the galaxy. Together, we had proven our strength and resolve against the Zarvath. In the aftermath of the battle, we gathered to assess the damage and celebrate our hard-fought victory. The mood was jubilant, yet I could see the weight of our struggles etched on the faces of my allies. As Vrax approached, I felt a sense of gratitude for the Threxians' unwavering support. You fought bravely, human, he said, his voice filled with respect. Together, we are stronger. Thank you, I replied, humbled by his words. This victory is a testament to our unity. We began discussing our next steps, knowing the war was far from over. The Zarvath would undoubtedly regroup and retaliate, and we needed to remain vigilant. Let's use this victory to our advantage, I suggested. We can rally more allies to our cause and strike while they are vulnerable. Torin nodded, determination shining in his eyes. We'll need to prepare for their next move. This is our chance to turn the tide. With renewed purpose, we set to work, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Zarvath had underestimated us, but we were ready to prove them wrong. Weeks passed since our last victory, and while we celebrated our successes, I couldn't shake the feeling that the Zarvath were waiting for the right moment to strike back. The tension in the air was palpable as our forces prepared for the next phase of the war. One evening, as we gathered to review our progress, Kill stood up, his expression serious. "We've received troubling intel. The Zarvath are consolidating their forces, and they're rumored to be building a new weapon." "What kind of weapon?" I asked, my stomach tightening. "Something large and powerful," Kill replied. "If they unleash it, it could turn the tide of this war in their favor." "Then we need to find out more," I said, my resolve hardening. "We can't let them gain the upper hand." Torin nodded, determination gleaming in his eyes. "Let's send a team to gather intel on their operations. We need to know what we're up against." "Agreed," I replied. "I'll lead the mission. We'll infiltrate their territory and discover what they're planning." Under the cover of darkness, we set out towards the Zarvath stronghold. Our stealthy approach was met with the familiar tension of uncertainty, but the bond we had forged as a team gave me confidence. As we crept through the shadows, I could feel the weight of our mission resting heavily on my shoulders. We needed this information to protect our people and allies. "Stay close," I whispered to my team. "We can't afford any mistakes." Navigating through the complex was fraught with danger, but our training and teamwork allowed us to evade detection. After what felt like an eternity, we arrived at a secured chamber filled with advanced weaponry and equipment. The air crackled with energy, and I felt a sense of urgency swell within me. "This must be where they're building their weapon," I said, scanning the room for anything useful. Kill moved to one of the consoles, quickly typing in commands. "I can access their data. Let's see what we can find." As he worked, I kept watch, my heart pounding in my chest. Suddenly, Kill's eyes widened. "I've got something. They're building a massive energy cannon capable of devastating our defenses." "Then we need to destroy it," I declared, urgency surging through me. Before we could act, alarms blared throughout the facility. "They've discovered us," Torin shouted, eyes wide with panic. "Quick, we need to get out of here," I commanded, adrenaline coursing through my veins. We fought our way through the facility, narrowly avoiding the Zarvath guards as we made our escape. The intensity of battle heightened as we navigated the chaos, every moment bringing us closer to danger. With every step, I felt the weight of our mission driving us forward. "We can't let them complete that weapon," I shouted, determination igniting my spirit. As we reached the exit, we faced a wave of Zarvath forces waiting to ambush us. "Hold the line," I yelled, rallying my team. We fought with everything we had, determined to escape with our lives and the crucial intel we had gathered. Just when it seemed like we were overrun, I spotted a weak point in their defenses. "Follow me," I yelled, leading my team through a narrow corridor. We emerged outside, breathless and battered but alive. "Now we need to destroy their weapon," I urged, our mission far from over. After regrouping with our allies, we devised a plan to sabotage the Zarvath's weapon before it could become operational. "Our intel will guide us," Kill said, looking over the schematics we had obtained. "We can strike at their weak point and disable it." Torin nodded, a fierce glint in his eyes. "Let's hit them hard and fast." With renewed purpose, we prepared for our mission, knowing that the fate of the war hung in the balance. Under the cover of night, we infiltrated the Zarvath stronghold once more, this time with a singular focus, to destroy the weapon. As we crept through the shadows, I felt the tension in the air, the weight of our objective driving us forward. "We need to be quick," I whispered. "If we can disable the weapon before they notice us, we'll have the upper hand." We navigated the corridors with precision, avoiding patrols and security systems. Finally, we reached the chamber housing the energy cannon, its ominous presence looming before us. Let's get to work, I instructed, as we began to set explosives around the weapon. But as we worked, the alarms blared once again, and we knew time was running out. Finish it up, I shouted, adrenaline surging as we prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Just as we finished setting the charges, the Zarvath forces stormed into the chamber, weapons raised. Get down, I yelled, as blaster fire erupted around us. We fought back fiercely, determined to protect our mission at all costs. With every shot fired, I felt the stakes rise. We couldn't let them stop us now. In the chaos, I caught sight of the Zarvath commander once more, his eyes filled with hatred. "Foolish creatures," he shouted. "You cannot hope to defeat us." "We're not backing down," I retorted, charging towards him with my weapon drawn. The battle raged on, blaster fire illuminating the chamber as we fought with everything we had. The Zarvath commander was relentless, but I felt the weight of my allies behind me, our bond fueling our strength. With every blow exchanged, I grew more determined. "We won't let you win," I shouted, rallying my team. Finally, with one swift motion, I disarmed the commander, sending him sprawling to the ground. "Your reign of terror ends here," I declared, moving to finish the job. With the commander incapacitated, we focused our efforts on the energy cannon, the countdown ticking in the background. "Let's get out of here," Kill shouted, urgency lacing his voice. As we made our escape, the chamber erupted with explosions, the force of our sabotage reverberating through the facility. We burst into the open air, the night sky illuminated by the fiery chaos behind us. "Did we do it?" Torin asked, breathless as we regrouped. I felt a surge of hope. "We've struck a significant blow against the Zarvath. This could turn the tide of the war." As we returned to our base, the atmosphere was electric with victory. We had dealt the Zarvath a significant setback, and I could see the hope reigniting in the eyes of my allies. Vrax approached, a proud smile on his face. "You have proven yourselves today, humans. This victory will inspire many to join our cause." "Thank you," I replied, gratitude swelling within me. "We're all in this together." But I knew this victory was just the beginning. The war against the Zarvath was far from over, and we had to remain vigilant as they regrouped. Days passed as we celebrated our hard-fought victory, but I could sense the tension lingering in the air. The Zarvath would not take this setback lightly, and we needed to be prepared for their next move. Gathered in our war room, I looked around at my team and our allies. "We've dealt them a significant blow, but they'll retaliate. We need to fortify our defenses and anticipate their moves." Torin nodded, determination etched on his face. "Let's establish a perimeter around our base and prepare for their counterattacks." As we devised our plans, Kill interjected. "We should also consider reaching out to other factions. The more allies we have, the stronger we'll be against the Zarvath." I agreed, knowing the importance of unity in our fight. "Let's send envoys to our neighboring systems. We need to show them the strength of our coalition and the threat the Zarvath pose." Weeks went by as we worked to strengthen our defenses and forge new alliances. The news of our victory spread, and many factions reached out, eager to join our cause. One evening, I stood before a gathering of representatives from various species, their faces filled with determination and hope. "Together, we can stand against the Zarvath," I declared, my voice steady. "We've proven our strength, and together, we will fight for our freedom." Cheers erupted, and I felt a surge of pride at the unity we had built. As we prepared for the inevitable Zarvath retaliation, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the cusp of something significant. The tide of the war was shifting, and I knew we had to be ready. One evening, as I reviewed our strategy with my team, a sudden explosion rocked our base, sending debris flying. "Zarvath attack!" Kill shouted, his eyes wide with alarm. "Everyone to battle stations," I commanded, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The chaos of battle erupted around us as we rallied our forces. The Zarvath had come for revenge, and we needed to stand our ground. "Prepare for engagement," I shouted, my heart racing as we took our positions. The enemy ships descended from the sky, darkening the horizon like a storm. "Hold the line," Torin yelled, rallying our troops as we faced the onslaught. The battle raged on, blaster fire lighting up the sky as we fought to protect our base. I could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on me, but I was determined to stand strong. "Focus fire on their command ship," I shouted, directing our forces as we engaged the enemy. With every blast fired, I felt our resolve strengthening, the unity of our coalition shining through. But just when it seemed like we were gaining ground, I spotted a familiar figure at the helm of the Zarvath command ship, the commander we had defeated before. "Not him again," I growled, determination surging within me. "We can't let him lead them," Torin shouted, his eyes blazing with fury. "Let's take him down," I declared, charging forward with my team by my side. We fought our way through the chaos, determined to reach the command ship. The tension in the air was palpable as we pressed forward, every move fueled by our shared purpose. "Stay together," I yelled, guiding my team through the fray. Finally, we reached the command ship, its massive form looming before us. "Let's take the fight to him," I shouted, adrenaline coursing through my veins as we breached the ship's defenses. Inside, we faced waves of Zarvath soldiers, but we fought with a ferocity born from our unity. As we battled through the corridors, I felt the weight of our mission driving us forward. "We're almost there," Kill shouted, pushing ahead as we approached the command deck. With one final push, we breached the door to the command room, the Zarvath commander standing before us, a wicked smile on his face. "You think you can defeat me again?" he sneered, eyes gleaming with malice. "This time, we finish what we started," I retorted, charging towards him. The clash was fierce as we fought the commander and his guards. The chaos of battle raged around us, but I felt a surge of determination igniting within me. "We will not be defeated," I shouted, rallying my team as we pressed forward. With every strike, I felt the weight of our struggles fueling my resolve. We fought as one, our bond stronger than ever. Finally, with a decisive blow, I disarmed the commander once more, sending him sprawling to the ground. "This ends now," I declared, ready to finish the fight. Just as I prepared to strike, a blinding flash erupted, and the room shook violently. "Get down," I shouted, instinctively shielding my team. As the chaos subsided, I glanced around, realizing the command ship was self-destructing. "We need to get out of here," Kill urged, urgency lacing his voice. We raced through the ship, the alarms blaring as we navigated the corridors. "Which way?" Torin shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "Follow me," I yelled, leading the way as we sprinted towards the exit. The explosions followed closely behind us, each step echoing with the urgency of our escape. With one final push, we burst through the hatch just as the command ship erupted in a fiery explosion behind us. As we landed back on our planet, I could hardly believe we had survived. "We did it," I shouted, relief washing over me. But I knew this victory was bittersweet. The war was far from over, and the Zarvath would return. "We need to regroup and strategize," I said, glancing around at my team. "The fight continues, but we will not back down." With renewed purpose, we prepared for the battles to come, knowing we had each other's backs as we faced the challenges ahead. This was only the beginning of our fight. The Zarvath would not rest, and neither would we. Together, we would forge a new future, united against the darkness threatening our existence. With every battle fought and every ally gained, I felt hope blossoming. We would rise together, stronger than ever, and I was ready to lead the charge. The days turned into weeks as we worked tirelessly to regroup and prepare for the inevitable Zarvath counterattack. Our coalition had grown stronger, and we were developing new strategies to face the looming threat. As we trained our troops, I felt the determination in the air, a shared resolve to protect our home. "Let's run through the drills again," I commanded, watching as our forces moved with precision. With each training session, I could see our allies becoming more cohesive, the bonds of trust strengthening as we fought side by side. One evening, as we gathered for a strategy session, Kil spoke up. "We've been monitoring Zarvath communications. They're regrouping and planning a massive strike against us." I nodded, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down. "We need to be ready. Let's set up defensive positions and prepare for their assault." As we discussed our plans, I couldn't shake the feeling that we needed to take the fight to the Zarvath before they could launch their attack. "Perhaps we can strike first," I suggested. "If we can disrupt their plans, we may gain the upper hand." Torn agreed. "Let's catch them off guard. We can't let them dictate our actions." With a new sense of urgency, we began to devise a plan for a preemptive strike against the Zarvath forces. Our scouts reported a key supply depot that would be critical to the Zarvath's upcoming attack. "If we can destroy their supplies, we can weaken their assault," I urged. The team rallied around the idea, and we prepared to launch our mission. Under the cover of darkness, we set out towards the supply depot, stealthily making our way through the terrain. "Stay sharp," I whispered to my team as we approached the facility. "We need to be quick and efficient." We navigated the perimeter, using the element of surprise to our advantage. "Let's split into teams," I suggested, assigning specific targets to maximize our impact. As we infiltrated the depot, the tension in the air was palpable. I felt the adrenaline coursing through my veins, each step bringing us closer to our objective. "On my mark," I instructed, waiting for the signal to engage. When the moment came, we struck swiftly, taking down guards and disabling security systems. "Keep moving," I shouted, urging my team forward. We fought with determination, knowing that every second counted. As we reached the heart of the depot, I glanced around at the supplies piled high, the lifeblood of the Zarvath war machine. "This is it," I declared, as we set explosives around the stockpiles. But just as we finished our work, alarms blared, and we knew time was running out. "Let's get out of here," Kil shouted, urgency lacing his voice. The chaos of the battle erupted as Zarvath reinforcements flooded the facility. "Fall back," I yelled, leading my team towards the exit. We fought our way through, the adrenaline driving us forward as we engaged the enemy forces. But as we approached the exit, I spotted a familiar face among the Zarvath soldiers, the commander we had fought before. "Not again," I muttered, steeling myself for the confrontation. The commander's eyes narrowed as he spotted us. "You think you can escape again?" he sneered, raising his weapon. "We've come too far to back down," I shouted, charging forward with my team. The battle was fierce, blaster fire lighting up the darkness as we fought against the overwhelming odds. "Stick together," Torin yelled, rallying our forces as we faced the commander once more. The clash was intense as we engaged the commander and his guards. I felt the weight of our mission driving us forward, every blow exchanged fueled by our determination. "We will not be defeated," I shouted, pushing forward as we fought with everything we had. Finally, with one decisive move, I disarmed the commander again, sending him sprawling to the ground. "This ends here," I declared, ready to finish the job. But before I could act, a massive explosion rocked the facility, shaking the ground beneath us. "Get down," Kil yelled, shielding his eyes from the blast. As the chaos erupted around us, I realized we had set the explosives too close to the stockpile. "Everyone, out now," I shouted, urgency surging through me. We raced towards the exit, the explosions echoing behind us as we fought our way through the chaos. "Which way?" Torin shouted, panic creeping into his voice. "Follow me," I yelled, guiding my team through the debris and flames. With every step, I felt the weight of responsibility pressing down, but I refused to let fear take hold. We burst through the exit just as the facility erupted in a fiery explosion behind us. "Did we do it?" Kil panted, glancing back at the inferno. I felt a surge of triumph. We've struck a significant blow against the Zarvath. But I knew this victory came with a price. The war was far from over, and the Zarvath would be furious. As we regrouped, I could see the determination in my team's eyes. We had survived another battle, But I knew we had to remain vigilant. "We need to prepare for their retaliation," I urged, my voice steady. "They won't take this lightly." Torin nodded, his expression fierce. "Let's fortify our defenses and anticipate their next move." Days turned into weeks as we continued to prepare for the looming Zarvath counterattack. The atmosphere was charged with tension as we worked tirelessly to strengthen our position. One evening, as we gathered for a strategy session, I felt a sense of unity among our forces. We had grown stronger together, forging bonds that would carry us through the challenges ahead. "Let's run through our defensive drills again," I suggested, knowing the importance of being prepared. As we practiced, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. We had come a long way since our first encounter with the Zarvath. But I also knew that the next battle would be the most critical yet. "We must stay vigilant," I reminded my team. "The Zarvath are cunning, and we need to be ready for anything." Days passed, and finally, the moment we had been anticipating arrived. The Zarvath forces began to mobilize, their ships descending on our planet. "Prepare for battle," I shouted, adrenaline coursing through my veins as we took our positions. The air crackled with tension as we faced the incoming storm, every heart beating in unison. As the battle erupted, blaster fire illuminated the skies, the chaos of war enveloping us. "Hold the line," Torin yelled, rallying our troops as we engaged the enemy. We fought with everything we had, the bonds we forged driving us forward. I felt the weight of our mission fueling my resolve, every shot fired and every enemy downed bringing us closer to victory. The battle raged on, and I could see the determination in my team's eyes. We were united in our cause, fighting for our freedom against the oppressive Zarvath. "Stay focused," I shouted, directing our forces as we pushed forward. Just when it seemed like we were gaining ground, a massive explosion erupted nearby, sending shockwaves through the air. "Watch out," I yelled, diving for cover as debris rained down around us. As the chaos subsided, I glanced around, assessing the damage. The battle was far from over, and the Zarvath were regrouping. "We need to hold our positions," I commanded, rallying my team as we prepared for the next wave. With renewed determination, we stood our ground, ready to face whatever came next. The battle continued to rage around us, the roar of blaster fire echoing in my ears. "We can't let them break through," I shouted, directing our troops as we fought to protect our base. As the Zarvath forces surged forward, I felt the pressure mounting. Every moment mattered, and we needed to hold the line. "Focus fire on their lead ship," I ordered, watching as our forces rallied together to engage the enemy. The skies lit up with explosions as we fought back against the incoming assault. I could see our allies holding strong, their determination matching our own. "We're holding them," Kill yelled, a fierce grin on his face as we pushed back against the Zarvath. But I knew that this was only the beginning. "Don't let up," I shouted, urging our forces to keep the pressure on. The tide of battle surged back and forth, and I felt the adrenaline coursing through me. We were fighting not just for our survival, but for our freedom. As the Zarvath forces regrouped, I could see their commander at the forefront, rallying his troops with a fierce resolve. "Not again," I muttered, steeling myself for the inevitable confrontation. "Focus on their commander," I yelled, knowing that taking him down would send a ripple through their ranks. With renewed determination, we surged forward, targeting the commander as we fought our way through the chaos. I could feel the heat of battle surrounding me, the stakes higher than ever. As we engaged the commander, I felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. This was it, the moment we had been preparing for. "Together," I shouted, rallying my team as we fought against the commander and his guards. The clash was fierce, blaster fire illuminating the darkness as we fought for our lives. Finally, with one decisive strike, I managed to disarm the commander once more, sending him sprawling to the ground. "This ends now," I declared, ready to finish the fight. But before I could act, a deafening explosion erupted nearby, shaking the ground beneath us. "Get down!" Kill yelled, shielding his eyes from the blast. The chaos around us intensified, and I knew we needed to regroup. "Fall back," I shouted, leading my team as we fought our way towards safety. As we retreated, I glanced back, realizing the extent of the damage. The Zarvath would not give up easily, but we had held our ground. We regrouped at a safe distance, catching our breath as we assessed our situation. "That was too close," Torin panted, glancing around at our team. I nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on me. "But we held them off. We can regroup and prepare for their next move." As we strategized, I could see the determination in my team's eyes. We had fought hard, and we would continue to fight for our freedom. "We'll need to fortify our defenses," Kill suggested. "They'll come back stronger." I agreed, knowing that we needed to be ready for anything. Days turned into nights as we fortified our base, preparing for the next wave of attacks. "Let's keep training," I urged, watching as our troops practiced their drills. With each passing day, I felt the bond among our team growing stronger, a shared commitment to our cause. Finally, the moment we had been anticipating arrived. The Zarvath forces began to mobilize again, their ships descending on our planet. "Prepare for battle," I shouted, adrenaline surging through me as we took our positions. The air crackled with tension as we faced the incoming storm, every heart beating in unison. As the battle erupted once more, blaster fire illuminated the skies, the chaos of war enveloping us. "Hold the line," Torin yelled, rallying our troops as we engaged the enemy. We fought with everything we had, the bonds we forged driving us forward. I felt the weight of our mission fueling my resolve, every shot fired and every enemy downed bringing us closer to victory. The battle raged on, and I could see the determination in my team's eyes. We were united in our cause, fighting for our freedom against the oppressive Zarvath. "Stay focused," I shouted, directing our forces as we pushed forward. Just when it seemed like we were gaining ground, a massive explosion erupted nearby, sending shockwaves through the air. "Watch out," I yelled, diving for cover as debris rained down around us. As the chaos subsided, I glanced around, assessing the damage. The battle was far from over, and the Zarvath were regrouping. "We need to hold our positions," I commanded, rallying my team as we prepared for the next wave. With renewed determination, we stood our ground, ready to face whatever came next. The battle raged on for what felt like an eternity. Our forces held strong against the Zarvath onslaught, but I could feel the exhaustion settling in. "Stay alert," I shouted, keeping my eyes peeled for any signs of weakness in the enemy's formation. As the skirmish continued, I felt the weight of our fight pressing down on me. We needed to find a way to turn the tide. Suddenly, a transmission crackled through my comms. "Commander, we've intercepted Zarvath communications. They're planning to launch a final assault on our position." My heart raced. "We need to prepare for their attack. Let's fortify our defenses and get everyone in position." The urgency of the situation galvanized our troops, and we set to work reinforcing our positions. As the Zarvath forces closed in, I could see the determination in their eyes. They had lost too much and were willing to do whatever it took to crush us. "Prepare to hold the line," I yelled, adrenaline surging as we braced for impact. The air crackled with tension as we faced the incoming storm, every heartbeat echoing in my ears. The moment of impact arrived, and the ground shook as the Zarvath forces charged. "Hold your positions," I commanded, rallying my team as we prepared to engage. The chaos erupted around us, blaster fire lighting up the night sky as we fought for our survival. "Push them back," Kill shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. We fought with everything we had, the weight of our mission fueling our resolve. But as the battle raged on, I knew that this would be the defining moment of our struggle. With renewed determination, I rallied my troops, pushing forward into the fray. "We will not be defeated," I shouted, leading the charge as we faced the Zarvath head-on. The clash was fierce, every blow exchanged a testament to our resolve. Just when it seemed like we were gaining ground, a deafening explosion erupted nearby, shaking the ground beneath us. "Get down," Keel yelled, shielding his eyes from the blast. As the chaos erupted around us, I realized we were being overwhelmed. "We need to regroup," I shouted, leading my team as we fought our way towards safety. As we retreated, I glanced back, realizing the extent of the damage. The Zarvath were relentless, and they wouldn't give up easily. We regrouped at a safe distance, catching our breath as we assessed our situation. "That was too close," Torin panted, glancing around at our team. I nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on me. "But we held them off. We can regroup and prepare for their next move." The days that followed were filled with planning and preparation. We needed to find a way to counter the Zarvath's relentless assaults. "We need to find their weakness," I suggested during a strategy session. "If we can disrupt their command structure, we might turn the tide." Keel nodded. "If we can isolate their leader, we may be able to cause chaos in their ranks." With a new sense of urgency, we began to devise a plan to infiltrate the Zarvath command ship. "It won't be easy," I warned, "but if we can pull it off, we might just have a chance." As we strategized, I felt a renewed sense of hope. We had come this far, and we wouldn't back down now. Days later, we were ready to execute our plan. Under the cover of darkness, we launched our mission towards the Zarvath command ship. "Stay focused," I urged my team as we navigated through the shadows, the weight of our objective driving us forward. As we infiltrated the ship, the tension was palpable. Every step brought us closer to our goal, and I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "On my mark," I whispered, waiting for the signal to engage. When the moment came, we struck swiftly, taking down guards and disabling security systems. "Keep moving," I shouted, urging my team forward. The chaos erupted around us as we fought our way through the command ship. "We need to reach the control center," I commanded, knowing that was our target. With every step, I felt the weight of our mission driving us forward. We would not be defeated. As we reached the heart of the command ship, I glanced around, assessing the situation. "This is it," I declared, ready to take the fight to their leader. But just as we finished our work, alarms blared, and I knew time was running out. "Let's get out of here," Keel shouted, urgency lacing his voice. The chaos of the battle erupted as Zarvath reinforcements flooded the ship. "Fall back," I yelled, leading my team towards the exit. We fought our way through, adrenaline driving us forward as we engaged the enemy forces. But as we approached the exit, I spotted a familiar face among the Zarvath soldiers, the commander we had fought before. "Not again," I muttered, steeling myself for the confrontation. The commander's eyes narrowed as he spotted me, a fierce determination emanating from him. "You think you can escape?" he growled, charging towards me. "Together," I shouted, rallying my team as we faced the commander and his guards once more. The clash was fierce. Every blow exchanged a testament to our resolve. The room filled with the sounds of battle, blaster fire illuminating the chaos. Finally, with one decisive strike, I managed to disarm the commander once more, sending him sprawling to the ground. "This ends now," I declared, ready to finish the fight. But before I could act, a deafening explosion erupted nearby, shaking the ground beneath us. "Get down," Keel yelled, shielding his eyes from the blast. The chaos around us intensified, and I knew we needed to regroup. "Fall back," I shouted, leading my team as we fought our way towards safety. As we retreated, I glanced back, realizing the extent of the damage. The Zarvath would not give up easily, but we had held our ground. As we regrouped at a safe distance, I could see the determination in my team's eyes. We had fought hard, and we would continue to fight for our freedom. Days turned into nights as we fortified our base, preparing for the next wave of attacks. "Let's keep training," I urged, watching as our troops practiced their drills. With each passing day, I felt the bond among our team growing stronger, a shared commitment to our cause. Finally, the moment we had been anticipating arrived. The Zarvath forces began to mobilize again, their ships descending on our planet. "Prepare for battle," I shouted, adrenaline surging through me as we took our positions. The air crackled with tension as we faced the incoming storm, every heart beating in unison. As the battle erupted once more, blaster fire illuminated the skies, the chaos of war enveloping us. "Hold the line," Torin yelled, rallying our troops as we engaged the enemy. We fought with everything we had, the bonds we forged driving us forward. I felt the weight of our mission fueling my resolve, every shot fired and every enemy downed bringing us closer to victory. The battle raged on, and I could see the determination in my team's eyes. We were united in our cause, fighting for our freedom against the oppressive Zarvath. "Stay focused," I shouted, directing our forces as we pushed forward. Just when it seemed like we were gaining ground, a massive explosion erupted nearby, sending shockwaves through the air. "Watch out," I yelled, diving for cover as debris rained down around us. As the chaos subsided, I glanced around, assessing the damage. The battle was far from over, and the Zarvath were regrouping. "We need to hold our positions," I commanded, rallying my team as we prepared for the next wave. With renewed determination, we stood our ground, ready to face whatever came next. But the battle continued, and we were far from victory. The Zarvath had regrouped, their forces moving in for one last push. "Prepare for their assault," I shouted, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The air crackled with tension as we braced ourselves for the final confrontation. As the Zarvath forces charged, the ground shook beneath us. "Hold the line," I yelled, rallying my team as we faced the enemy. The clash was fierce, every blow exchanged a testament to our resolve. We fought with everything we had, our spirits unyielding. But just when it seemed like we were gaining ground, a deafening explosion erupted nearby, shaking the ground beneath us. "Get down," Kill yelled, shielding his eyes from the blast. As the chaos erupted around us, I knew we needed to regroup. "Fall back," I shouted, leading my team as we fought our way towards safety. As we retreated, I glanced back, realizing the extent of the damage. The Zarvath would not give up easily, but we had held our ground. In the days that followed, we regrouped and fortified our defenses. We were tired, but our resolve was stronger than ever. "We will not be defeated," I declared, looking around at my team. And as the days turned into nights, I knew that our fight was far from over. The Zarvath would come for us again, but we would be ready. Together, we would fight. Together, we would stand. And together, we would win.